Last night, the Astros held on to take another game from the White Sox and push the win streak to 4. Tonight, Bud Norris gets the nod and another chance to build on his success at home. While the White Sox trot out another lefty in Jose Quintana as they try to get out of Houston with a win. Astros go for the sweep next on Comcast Sportsnet. Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Comcast Sportsnet brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, the Astros go for a sweep of this 4-game series against the Chicago White Sox. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby to see if the Astros can continue their winning streak, which has really been built with solid starting pitching. Ash?
4-game winning streak. Second time the club has had a streak that long this year. And it's been done, as you say, Brandon, with that starting pitching. It all began Jordan Lyles, followed by Eric Bedard, Lucas Harrell, and Dallas Keuchel last night. These guys combining with some great numbers. 1.73 ERA in those 4 starts. That'll get you a lot of winning streaks. And again, it was Jordan Lyles. That curveball was dynamic his last time out. Eric Bedard, season high in pitches. Harrell, after a little bit of a shaky first inning, turned it on, and then Dallas Keuchel last night. Very good. These guys setting it up nicely for the ace of the staff, Bud Norris, who goes out there tonight trying not only to get the 5-game winning streak, but to sweep away these White Sox in 4 games.
It's been an amazing, consistent last month for the Astros pitching staff, and a part of that has been the game calling of the catchers and also the hitting of Jason Castro.
You've got to score some runs to win some ball games. Jason Castro not only doing that nice job behind the plate, but with the bat. You can see the batting average over the last 3 starts, .455. You can take that over the past month, hitting over 300 for Jason. He's been a player of the week in that span. He's been hitting home runs. He has hit his first 2 career home runs against left-hand pitching. 1 to right center, 1 hitting the foul pole down the left field side. And Jason Castro is a huge part of what's going on with the success of this ball club.
Coming up, Bud Norris continues to be very dependable at Minute Maid Park. One of the best pitchers in the majors at home the last couple of years. Julia Morales will chat with Bud coming up.
White Sox meeting for the fourth and final time here in Houston this season, and the Astros are looking for their second four-game sweep of the season, and they will give the ball to Bud Norris, who is coming off a very solid 7 innings in Seattle recently. Very good road start for a guy who hasn't been very consistent on the road. Let's take a look at his numbers on the road versus here at Minute Maid Park, making 8 starts at home. He's 3-2. You see on the road 2-4, and his ERA, big difference there, 5.40 on the road, 2.28 here at home. And going back to his start in Seattle, he was dealing with cold-like symptoms, had to battle through, but that's not the only thing Bud has battled through this season.
He's battled all year. He's done a great job. I mean, he has dealt with a few little things, whether it's blisters or he had that back thing that he was dealing with, and he's done a great job coming back and getting himself right and pushing through that and maintained to throw excellent. So I mean, he hasn't let up based on any of the stuff he's had to deal with this year, and he's actually thrown some of his best stuff of his career, I think, this year, and he's only getting better every start.
They know they can count on Bud Norris, and he's been a veteran presence for these young pitchers as well. And as for his last start in Seattle, they lost that game. He got the loss in the 4-0 shutout. No run support for their guy. And I talked to the team today, and they said they really hope to put some numbers up for a guy who's done a lot for them this season. All right, coming up, stay with us. We got first pitch and lineups. Astros looking for that second 4-game sweep, this time over the Chicago White Sox. We'll be right back.
Net is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by Jack in the Box. Try Jack's Big Stack Burger. 2 jumbo beef patties stacked with onion rings, cheese, and pickles. Well, with the air conditioning pumping, it's game 4 of this 7-game homestand. The Milwaukee Brewers are in town, and they have a day off. They will be here and playing the Astros in the first of the 3-game series, starting tomorrow night with a concluding game Thursday afternoon. Then the Astros go play the other Chicago team, the Cubs, on the road over the weekend. It's the Astros and White Sox, and as the Astros have won 4 in a row, the White Sox have dropped 4 straight. They have surrendered 14 of their last 18 games to fall 10 games under 500. Meanwhile, the Astros are 26-44. And since May 15th, they've gone 16-14. At Lowe's, we never stop improving, and neither does the Astros pitching. Through May 15th, The Astros were 10-30. Their starters' ERA was 6.43. Relievers' ERA 5.10. And look at the turnaround there. That is truly amazing, Ash.
Yeah, it's great stuff, and it hasn't been just 1, 2, or 3 guys in the starting rotation. It's been the group of 5 guys that have gone out there consistently, giving you good efforts and giving the team a chance to win. It's been the offense that's been a little bit more of the question mark of late.
So as the Astros take the field here, they are 13-23 at Minute Maid Park this season, trying to make this a really meaningful homestand for them after coming off a difficult road trip. And Bud Norris is shooting for his 6th win of the year. Here's the lineup he'll be facing. Robin Ventura's White Sox started with center fielder Alejandro De Aza. It's Alexi Ramirez batting second and shortstop. The number 3 hitter is right fielder Alex Rios. Houston native Adam Dunn is the cleanup man, playing first base with Paul Konerko, the DH, Connor Gillespie at third base, Diane Viciedo in left field, Gordon Beckham at second base, Hector Jimenez the catcher.
On the mound for the Astros, right-hander Bud Norris, ace of the staff. Last 5 starts, he has certainly pitched like that. The ERA overall says he's pitched very well, 3.47, and a win-loss record at 5-6, not as good as he has pitched. Left-hand hitters have had a good time against him, while the right-hand hitters have struggled. All in all, a .280 batting average against Bud. Defensive side, behind Bud Norris, behind the plate, it's Jason Castro. Around the infield, right to left, Carlos Pena, Jose Altuve, Ronnie Cedeno, and Matt Dominguez. In the outfield, Brandon Barnes in center, flanked by Trevor Crow in right, and JD Martinez is in left.
Brandon Barnes made a fabulous catch in the second inning yesterday off Diane Viciedo. Viciedo was leading it off, and this looked like a double or a triple, but Barnes went way up on Towles Hill, and then he tumbled forward and maintained possession of the baseball.
Once that first stride hits Towles Hill, you are in trouble, and very fortunate the catch had been made at that point. But you could also see how easily Brandon Barnes moved into this ball while running full tilt.
The Astros got 3 in the bottom of the second. After that, they went on to a 5-4 win. The catch was really significant in that game. Just one of a number of highlight plays Brandon Barnes has made. And Bo Porter has said when Justin Maxwell returns to the Astros, and that could be any day now, Justin will play perhaps center some of the time, perhaps right field some of the time. And Barnes is really trying to take hold as the everyday center fielder for the Astros right now. Alejandro De Aza gets it going against Bud Norris. The leadoff man with 7 steals, hit a long ball. There is ball 1. De Aza hit his 8th of the year in yesterday's game. He also had a triple, 268, 8 homers, 32 runs batted in for De Aza. De Aza missed the Friday night game. He was suffering from an upset stomach that afternoon. 1 ball and 1 strike to the 29-year-old veteran from the Dominican Republic. And De Aza already with 8 home runs is one away from his career high of 9 set last year. He drove in 50 last season for the White Sox. Norris steals, and it's a strike call for Bud. New umpiring crew for game 4 of this series. And sometimes that happens. The first set of umpires goes through the first 3 games of a 4-game wraparound weekend series. And now a new crew for the next 4. Fastball gets a foul tip and a strikeout, and it's Tim Welke umpiring behind the plate tonight.
Yeah, Bud mixed it around very nicely and then comes in with that high fastball to put him away. And you could see that was exactly what Jason Castro wanted, that glove up, and they get it right on the money.
In run support, it's Chris Sale, the lowest in the American League. And we saw more of that when he pitched earlier in this series. Bud is second lowest, tied with Joe Saunders of Seattle at 3.00. Alexi Ramirez takes a strike. 265 for Alexi. 1 homer. He's driven in 14.
Well, when you see those numbers, Brownie, it's pretty impressive that Bud Norris is 5-6.
Well, you bet. With his ERA of 3.47, he's kept his club in a number of games. The last 10 starts for Bud Norris, the Astros have not scored more than 3 runs in any of those 10 games. That's period while he's in the game or after he leaves. 3 runs period. 1 hopper back to him, and he tosses high, but plenty of time for Carlos Pena to get back for round number 2.
Gonna have to get Bud a cutoff man there.
Playful little grenade throw over to first base. And Now Alex Rios will be the batter. Rios has driven in 5 runs in his last 10 games with a .318 average. .285 for this season, 11 bombs, and 33 runs batted in for Rios, the former Toronto Blue Jay. He is just 1 for 10 in this series with a couple of walks. That's in tight for ball 1. But going with the changeup there on the first one to Rios. Rios drove in 91 last year while hitting 25 homers with a .304 batting average. He was 9th in total bases in the American League last year. Bud falls behind him. It's 2-0.
Be glad to get that one back. Something off speed left up around the letters.
Rios has started all but 1 game for the White Sox. Had an 18-game hitting streak in May. That's the longest in the league this year. And that one's fouled away. He was ready on 2-0, but still a little bit late. And 2 balls and a strike for Bud Norris. Bud last year was 7-13 with a 4.65 ERA. Right now he's 5-6. His top victory total in the season, 9 wins in 2010. 2 balls, 2 strikes with Adam Dunn on deck.
That last fastball, pretty good representation of the way Bud has been with the fastball over this nice stretch of starts that he's put together. Running that thing down consistently around the knees.
Right-handed hitters are hitting 183 off his fastball. Slider banged by Dominguez, diving and into the left field corner. And Rios heads for second base. That's a 2-out double for the right fielder of the Sox. And the Pale Holes have a man on for Adam Dunn.
He gets the slider right here, and with Matt Dominguez playing well off the line, pretty much that straight up shot through the third base area there goes down the line for the 2-bagger.
Infield moving around now. Ronnie Cedeno will move to his left, and Jose Altuve also moving around, as you can see. As Dunn gets ready to step in, he has 18 homers. That's tied for second best in the American League. He's driven in 40, batting average a low 183. But Adam has hit 6 homers in the month of June, and that's leading the American League in June. He gets a first pitch breaker, and it's strike 1 to Dunn.
I don't know if this is the curveball. Looks more like a slider in terms of size of break. Either way, well done as a starter pitch.
Dunn homered off Lucas Harrell in game 2 of this series Saturday. Fouls that one back. It's 0-2.
Once you come with that starter breaking ball for the called strike, that next fastball has a chance of getting by as they come up with it, and it's exactly what takes place.
13 long balls in this park in his career. Back to Cincinnati Reds days when he had many games each year against the Astros. Dunn takes in. It's 1-2. Dunn has hit 6 opposite field home runs this year. That's tied for the American League high. Just a very, very strong hitter. Boy, does he create some major leverage too with that big frame. Listed at 6'6". Now 2-2 for Bud Norris.
Dunn does a nice job on those last 2 sliders down and in, laying off. For that left-hand hitter, a lot of times you'll get that bat started just a bit early with that pitch starting on the inside edge. And once you do, you commit and you're done on the pitch.
Adams 1 for 3 lifetime against Bud Norris. Ground ball to first base for Carlos Pena. For out number 3. No runs a hit, a runner stranded, and no score. Sox. Now the Astros come up in the bottom of the first at Minute Maid Park with this starting lineup for Bo Porter. Brandon Barnes center field, Jose Altuve second base, Jason Castro catcher, J.D. Martinez left field, Chris Carter the DH, Carlos Pena first base, Ronnie Cedeno shortstop, Matt Dominguez third base, Trevor Crowe right field.
Another left-hander on the hill for the White Sox, Jose Quintana, 24 years of age. He's 3-2 on the year, 3.86 the ERA, so he's pitched well, allowing just under a hit per inning. And the whip says he's probably had more base runners than he'd like to see. The walks, the reason right there. Right-handers have hit just .241 against this lefty.
First career appearance against the Astros for Quintana. The same for Bud Norris against the White Sox. As Ash mentioned, Jose, 24 years old. He's from Colombia. Brandon Barnes gets it going and goes for the first pitch, fouling it back for strike one. Barnes has hit southpaws very well. .333 batting average for Brandon against lefties. Overall, .272 for the season with 3 homers, 16 runs batted in.
I like that good aggressive swing for Brandon. He has shown us that he's got some very good power. And that would be one area that he could really help his value out with if he can display that power more often.
1-1. There's a .404 slugging percentage. Well, he made another spectacular catch in yesterday's game, and his dad was here to witness it. Now this one goes foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That was a proud occasion for several Astros fathers. Brandon Barnes' dad here from California. Matt Dominguez, his father, was here from California. Matt drove in 3 in the game. Dallas Keuchel's dad was here. Dallas, the winning pitcher in the game. Hector Ambriz got a couple of outs. His father was here. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. And then after the game, the players and their families stayed here for a while for a picnic in the park. That was a major success. Some 700 people picnicking on the grass in the outfield here at Minute Maid Park, raising money for charity. Astros in Action Foundation hosting that event. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Brandon Barnes. A good time was had by all, we're told.
Somebody did a nice job cleaning up after a picnic of that size.
Grounds crews, fantastic here.
Didn't see a single ant out there.
No. 2.13 ERA for Dallas his last 4 starts. Impressive. Bounce foul, third base side, past Dave Tremblay. Now Dave had a key decision to make also in yesterday's game on sending Trevor Crowe from first base on the 3-run double in the second inning by Matt Dominguez. He said he tried to get as close to that third base line as he could to look into the corner, and the ball kind of caromed around a little bit in the corner. And Trevor Crowe was running hard all the way and was able to score from first on it. Strike 3 call. Quintana opens with a K.
Brandon Barnes a little bit like Robbie Grossman, taking some close pitches with 2 strikes at times. Just can't get away with that.
Jose Altuve is next up. Jose begins the night at .292 with 3 homers. He's driven in 27 with a .324 on base percentage. And good recent success for him. He is 3 for 12 with an RBI in this series. Quintana delivers, and it's ball 1. Last time out, a no decision for Quintana. He did his part. 6 1/3 innings, 2 earned runs. There was a blown save after he left the game, and the White Sox lost it in the 10th, 7-5. It's a liner into right field, and that's the good look at Jose Altuve, trying to get back to that right field approach that he had earlier this season when he sizzled through the month of April, and that could help him do it.
You know, it's nice when you have that ability and then suddenly you're able to jack some balls to left field. It feels good. You can help drive in some runs. But it almost inevitably, that hitter will wind up finding some struggles along the way, and you've got to get back to that ability to line it to right.
Now he came firing out of the box with a .324 April average. Hit .265 in May. Now he's aboard for Jason Castro, .270 with 10 homers, 23 runs batted in. Settling into that number 3 hitter's role with that .298 average, taking ball 1. And he's had a nice series with 3 hits and 8 at bats, including 2 homers And each of the last 2 games, he has homered off a left-handed pitcher. Coming into the Saturday night affair, he had not hit a homer off a left-handed pitcher in his major league career.
Jason had had such a miserable time last year against left-hand pitching, and it started out that way this year. But now the more he's gotten a chance to play and see some left-handers, the more it looks like he might be able to figure this thing out.
Watch out for this guy's pickoff move. He's picked off 3 this year to tie for the AL lead. It's 2-0, but the presence of Altuve at first may be helpful for Castro. Castro hits the ball all over. The outfielders play him straight away. And with 10 catcher home runs, he's second in the American League behind J.P. Arancibia of Toronto with 14. He's also hit more homers than any Astros catcher since Mitch Molesky hit 14 in 2000. 2 balls and a strike. It's a career high already for Jason. He had 8 home runs in his career coming into this season, and he's hit 10. The high for an Astros catcher for home runs at the All-Star break, Joe Ferguson hit 13 in 84 games up to the break in 1977. John Bateman had 11 in 66 and 78 games.
Those 2 playing in the same league.
3 balls and a strike.
You just hear the parents in the stand saying, I don't know why they put our boys up against such big players.
That's fun, though. That's why so many people really are attracted to this sport.
Which of the 2 is the more likely All-Star this year?
Yeah, he's going. And that's rocked out to left center field. A long run for De Aza. De Aza way back, watching that one off the wall. It sticks there by the base of the wall. Altuve coming in to score, and it's 1-0 on an RBI double by Castro. 19th double for Castro.
Now, we talked about the impact Jason Castro is having on this club right now. And this again against the left-hander. The front side stayed right there until he decided to unload. And unload he does. That's great power.
Oh, stuck in the fence.
Hard to pick up that baseball at times. It's why it's not a bad idea to glance back a little sooner and see the ball come off the bat.
J.D. Martinez looks at strike 1. Martinez at 260 with 6 homers, has 24 runs batted in. J.D. 0 for 7 in this series.
You know, we've seen Usain Bolt in the Olympics looking all over the place and setting world records. I don't think it harms you to glance back as a runner going towards second.
1 ball, 1 strike. Well, you know, if it's a game at Wrigley Field and the ball sticks in the ivy, it's a double. A little bit different here. It didn't actually stick between the fence and the padding, right? It was still playable by the outfielder.
And Andre Dawson may make an appearance.
Broken bat roller. Quintana looks toward third, throws low to first base, gets the out there as Castro advances on out number 2. Good read by Castro to get to third base.
This is deep in the kitchen. That's one of your Frigidaire heaters. Defensively for the White Sox tonight, behind the dish, Hector Jimenez. Around the infield, Adam Dunn at first. Gordon Beckham, Alexi Ramirez, very good at shortstop. Connor Gillespie at third. In the outfield, Alejandro De Aza in center, flanked by Alex Rios in right, and Dion Viciedo in left field.
Now it's Chris Carter batting. Carter leads the Astros in homers and runs batted in. Takes ball 1 in the dirt there. Hector Jimenez stopping it. Jimenez, a former Astro. Carter with a .217 average has gone deep 14 times to lead the club. 36 runs batted in. And a runner at third here. 1 more run batted in than Matt Dominguez for Chris Carter. That was way outside from Quintana, and it's a 2-ball, no strike count.
Guys, just looking at some of the numbers in the American League for catchers and the WAR figure. Among catchers, Joe Mauer leads. I think that's rather predictable. He's hitting .321. But Jason Castro is second best in that WAR category when you combine the defensive side and what he's done with the bat and how impactful he is with the extra base numbers and on base and everything that comes together. So Jason Castro quickly moving up that list in the AL.
He's gaining a lot of recognition this year. Carter looks at that one. It's a 4-pitch walk for Chris. And the Astros get their third base runner of the game, bringing up Carlos Pena. Robin Ventura's club has really been in the doldrums, losing 14 of 18 with a $120 million payroll for the Pale Hose. They've lost 12 of their last 13 on the road, and they're on a 10-game road trip. They go on to Minnesota and Kansas City after this 4-game series. So Robin hoping that each night is a breakout night for this club, but 3 one-run losses in the first 3 games of this series for Robin Ventura's White Sox.
It's a tough gig to sit in that dugout and when things are going bad, not make any facial expressions that show negativity. The ball club is always watching for that stuff. Really tough.
225 for Carlos Pena, 6 homers, 18 runs batted in. 0 for 4 in this series. Leads the Astros in runs scored and in walks. And it's ball 1. Quintana has not been any more difficult against left-handed batters than against right-handed batters. In fact, almost the reverse, although there's not a huge split. Left-handed hitters 253, right-handers 241 against this lefty. Last year was his first major league season. He was 6-6 with the Sox with a 3.76 ERA. Made 22 starts. It's 2-0. You clued us in on the walks earlier. 22 of those in 77 innings coming into this. This is his 14th start of the year.
Well, you can pick that up when you see a guy that's allowed less hits than innings pitched, and yet he has a fairly high whip number. You know that he's walking more than he would like to.
Strike there makes it 2-1. Jason Castro pretty aggressive with that secondary lead off third base. That of course would help him if a pitch in the dirt skipped by Hector Jimenez, but runner at third has to be extremely quick sometimes to score on a pitch that goes back to the screen here because it's not very far behind home plate. And it's 3-1. It's a split-second decision for the runner on third. For instance, that last pitch was breaking ball wide to Pena. If that gets underneath the mid of Jimenez, he wouldn't have to go very far usually to retrieve it if he got a bounce right back toward him.
Well, you're right, and a lot of guys, the really good base runners, will watch the ball come out of the hand of the pitcher, and they can see right away if the ball's got a chance of being in the dirt. You make your move too quickly there as the catcher picks it in the dirt, and you put yourself in a bad spot.
Roll to first, backhanded by Dunn for the third out. 1 run, 2 hits, and 2 left for the Astros, and Castro puts them on the board with a club high 19th double, 1-0.
Quote of the game. It comes from Astros manager Bo Porter. He said the starting pitching has been tremendous. You look at the stretch in which we played really good baseball. It starts and ends with those guys on the mound. The skipper very happy with his staff there, and it seems to be contagious. Been a big reason behind this 4-game winning streak, and another reason why they're 11-7 in their last 18 so far in this series. Eric Bedard, Dallas Keuchel, and Lucas Harrell have all come up winners, hoping Bud Norris here will grab a 4th straight win today, guys.
So great numbers, Julia. As we saw earlier, 26 innings, 5 earned runs, 27 strikeouts, and 1.73 ERA from that talented quartet. And Dallas Keuchel mentioned after the game yesterday, it's just a matter of going to the mound, not wanting to let the team down after what the guy before him has done, and the guy before him, the guy before him. So now it's Bud Norris with a 1-0 lead facing Paul Konerko.
I think a lot of times you hear teams talk about, well, we've got 2 or 3 guys at the top of the rotation that have done just fine, but the other guys have really hurt us. That has not been the case at all here of late for the Astros.
Paul Konerko at 234 with 6 homers, has driven in 25. Has 3 hits and 10 at bats in this series with 1 RBI. And takes that one for a ball for a 1-1 count. And one of the all-time stalwarts in hitting numbers in the history of this White Sox ball club. He needs 27 more long balls to tie Frank Thomas for the franchise record. Thomas hit 448. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Paul Konerko. Hitting coach for the White Sox is Jeff Manto. Darrell Boston coaches first with Joe McEwing, the third base coach. Konerko lays off, and the check swing call is made there by Mike Everett. It's 2-2.
That glance from the side, see what the bat does. He kept that angle with the hands and the barrel hanging back, though it was through the plate, not going on beyond the plate. And Konerko did exactly what a hitter needs to do.
Paul was born in Providence, Rhode Island. He's been a very consistent power hitter throughout his major league career. In the dirt, it's 3-2. Joined the White Sox in '99. He's just consistently been over 20 homers. He hit 41 in '04. He hit 40 in '05. 39 in 2010 for Paul. He dropped off to 26 last year. In the air, and that one drifts back into the seats. Still 3-2 to the 37-year-old Paul Konerko, DHing. He goes back through the years against Astros pitchers. He homered off Scott Ellerton in the '99 season. Went deep in '06 off Roy Oswalt. And last year he hit one off Wilton Lopez. That one in the air to left field and sailing over toward the seats in foul ground. Keeping the count full on Paul Konerko.
Every organization has that list of names that got away. We had this guy once upon a time, and whatever, they let the guy get away. Paul Konerko, I never hear his name come up from the Dodgers, and a guy that got away, and yet his numbers have been terrific through the years.
Active career leaders, he is 4th on that list. And he's putting up quite a battle here against Bud Norris. In Bud's career, he has a 20-16 record at Minute Maid Park with a 3.33 ERA. 4th best ERA in this ballpark among starting pitchers. Roger Clemens, number 1. Roy Oswalt, number 2. Carlos Zambrano is 3rd. Line and caught by Ronnie Cedeno. Good battle, though, for out number 1. You know, for Paul Konerko, even though he's 0 for 1, he probably doesn't feel bad at all about that at bat. And
very good at bat. I don't know. It always depends what kind of a streak a guy's going through. You can see the shake of the head, but I'm sure he's running through a whole lot of that went on there. That was a good at bat. But when it's all said and done, you hit that line drive kind of softly at the shortstop, and every hitter wants a knock every time they get up there.
Gillespie with a comebacker. Morris flips him out. 2 outs.
Tomorrow, the Milwaukee Brewers come to town, starting a 3-game series. Come see Altuve, Castro, and the rest of your Astros face off against the Brew Crew. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com to get your tickets right now.
Well, we saw Wave Robinson, who's going to be producing the Milwaukee Brewer telecasts here, our former producer, and his wife Terry. They live in New Braunfels. They came in on the off night to see a ball game.
He's kind of the face of the Brewers, isn't he?
He is. Diane Viciedo is the batter. And that's strike one for Bud Norris to a 222 hitter with 4 homers, 15 runs batted in for Viciedo. Viciedo 1 for 11 in this series. Brian Anderson, Bill Schroeder will be at work next door on Brewers TV tomorrow night as a brand new series comes in. 0-2, and Viciedo really aired it out on that swing.
Heat against heat. Yes. Big time airing it out, Viciedo.
He's hit only 115 his last 17 games. Punches one on a line to right field and moving over and reaching down. A good catch for Trevor Crowe. Makes it a 1-2-3 second and a 1-0 Astros lead. Andrew Thurman, the right-hander from Cal Irvine, the Astros second-round draft choice, just signing and getting ready to embark on a professional career. What a great time for you.
Absolutely. It's a blessing to be here, and very thankful for the Houston Astros organization.
Had you followed the Astros very much growing up?
Quite a bit. Just a little bit here and there. Grew up in Southern California, so whenever I got to see them on TV, yeah.
Did you go to Angels games, Dodgers games?
Yeah, mostly Angels games growing up.
Okay. Ronnie Cedeno leads it off. And there's strike one. Well, on your left is a guy who grew up in Southern California.
Big Dodger fan, but got a chance to be on the field playing against the Dodgers a lot of times, and so that's always big. Your thoughts? Have you envisioned what this professional career is going to be like?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be tough though. It's going to be a tough road. A lot of bus rides, a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but it's going to be a fun time. I'm looking forward to it and excited.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've been briefed.
A little bit.
I haven't heard what the bonus was like, but I didn't realize peanut butter and jelly sandwiches was going to be a part of things. Exciting moment there, being able to sign the paperwork.
Yeah, it was one of the best moments of my life. A great moment for me and my family.
Did you have an inkling that the Astros were going to be the team to get you?
Going through the draft, I hadn't heard much. Once their pick started to come up, I started hearing a little bit, so got a little excited.
Yeah, and then when you saw all the picks after everything had come in, and you saw how they had gone heavily for college pitching.
Yeah.
Well, you probably know some of these guys who were drafted by the Astros, right?
Yeah, quite a few of them actually. Played with them throughout the summer. Played against them in college. A lot of great players.
Of course, you and Mark Appel in the top 2 spots. Does that leave you thinking that you got a chance to be a part of a big-time pitching rotation for years to come?
Absolutely. Yeah, Mark's a great pitcher. I played with him after my freshman year, summer. Great pitcher, and we're looking forward to helping out any way we can and giving our best.
Comebacker, Cedeno hitting it to Quintana. There's out number 1.
What's the repertoire we're going to see from you when you get to the big leagues, whenever that time comes along?
Fastball, curveball, change, slider.
Kind of in that order?
Yeah. Change up, probably second best pitch, but a lot of strikes, go after guys.
So 100.1 innings this year for you, 91 strikeouts, only 19 walks, 85 hits. Great numbers. How many innings would you expect to put on now in professional baseball? Do you think they'll be really careful with you on the innings?
I'm not too sure. I'm pretty durable, if I do say so myself, and I can go out there and pitch as many innings as they want me to, and yeah.
Matt Dominguez, no balls, 2 strikes. Just a thrilling thing to contemplate, even though there are some bus rides, as you pointed out, ahead to get after it, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's looking forward to it, that's for sure.
I'm sure you've heard about the grind of professional baseball and the throwing every day and the fact that you're at the ballpark and everything that goes on. What kind of thoughts do you have coming into that as to how you might be able to handle it and stay away from injury?
Just keep at it, keep working hard in the weight room. Keeping at, what being a baseball player is. You get to go out there and do what you love every day. And, it's a blessing to be able to continue my career.
And as you got a chance to put on that uniform, take the field, that makes you want to get here even faster, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. That's pretty cool.
So did the guys give you a hard time today? Were they easy on you? How did that play out?
Yeah, the guys were very welcoming. All nice guys, all introduced themselves. Asked me where I'm from, asked me where I went to school and things like that. And, they're all great guys. Great to meet them. Great to learn from them, just for today.
On that shot, when you were warming up the bullpen, we saw with their arms folded in the background, Dennis Martinez, great right-handed pitcher.
That's right.
And you probably talked with Doug Brocail for a while.
Yes, sir.
Did they give you anything technical to work on at all?
Not really. Not today. It was kind of just a light pen workout. And he gave me a few pointers out there.
Jimenez throws out Dominguez for out number 2. Well, you've had a lot of success, so that's going to be interesting to see now how you're going in to your first professional class with all these other guys who have been drafted high. See how it stacks up against that competition, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to playing against those guys that I've grown up playing against, and professional baseball is it's gonna be tough, but definitely up for the challenge.
I think we all have to be aware of our weaknesses when you're going out to become a professional baseball player. What areas do you feel right now are needing the most attention on your part?
I would say getting ahead of hitters. I would say that's probably the biggest thing on the field. Being able to trust my stuff ahead in the count, early on in the count. I'd say probably that.
And your biggest strength?
I would say my determination. Going out there and giving it my all, no matter probably my B stuff, A stuff, no matter how I feel out there, being able to try and battle and give a solid performance.
Andrew, have you pitched in the Cape Cod League at all?
Yes, sir. After my freshman and sophomore years.
That's great.
Irvine.
How did you find that experience of going up against the wood bats compared to the aluminum bats?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it. It's a little bit easier to pitch to guys. You can pitch in a lot more often. It makes balls not go as far, that's for sure.
Have you ever faced Miguel Cabrera with a wood bat in his hands?
No, I haven't. I wouldn't mind it, though. I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah. It might be fun someday.
Absolutely.
Sounds like you're up for a challenge. Trevor Crow batting with a 2-2 count. And a grounder to shortstop. Ramirez with the play. Thanks so much for joining us, Andrew Thurman. Best of luck to you in
Thanks
your
for having me.
professional career.
Appreciate it.
Have a great one.
Soon.
Thank you.
1-0 Astros. Moment in history is brought to you by MD Anderson, making cancer history. June 17, 1998. The Astros rally with 4 in the ninth to beat the Cardinals 6-5. A Brad Ausmus single drives in Carl Everett for the winner.
Ooh, that name Carl Everett right there. He was a rake master at that time of his career.
Wasn't he, though?
Ooh.
Derek Bell, Killer Bees, Sean Berry, of course, Biggio Bagwell, and all the others. 1998, the Astros won 102 games. That's a club record. Gordon Beckham with a ground ball to shortstop. Ronnie Cedeno takes care of it. 1 pitch, 1 out for Bud Norris here in the third. And Hector Jimenez will be next. Well, we wish Andrew Thurman all the best. Very pleasant young man. He's headed for Tri-Cities to begin his professional career.
Wonder if Andrew was watching the hitters, the 1-2-3 inning in that bottom of the second inning. 3 jam shots. Wonder if he was thinking to himself, you know what, I think I can handle this.
Well, yeah, it's got to be a delight to contemplate breaking bats compared to the damage that those aluminum bats can do in college.
Dribbler back to the mound, a 12-footer that the catcher makes the play on, and a jam shot to shortstop.
Yeah. Hector Jimenez is the batter. Hector at .212 with 2 homers, has driven in 10. Had a couple of at-bats for the Astros in the 06 season after coming up through their Venezuelan academy. And there's ball 1 to the switch-hitting catcher. Of course, we were talking about it earlier in this series, the fact that A.J. Przinsky had been with the White Sox for 8 years, and he's now moved along to the Texas Rangers, so that's a quantum shift behind the plate for their club. 1 ball, 1 strike, but I was asking Mark Parent, the bench coach and former Major League catcher, how things have gone, and he likes the way Hector has worked along with Tyler Flowers in executing the game plan for the White Sox pitchers this year.
It's one of the big things that catching coaches and the coaching staff in general will look at. Pitching coaches need a catcher to be able to kind of fill out exactly what the coaching staff would like done over the course of the ballgame. Yeah. There are some guys that, because they swing the bats pretty well, maybe get away without applying themselves as much as would be liked.
Swing there by Jimenez takes the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes.
This is just getting the fastball right on by.
Mark Parent played 13 years in the big leagues.
Big fella.
He used to have some games against the Astros. Strike 3 call and strikeout number 2 for Bud.
surprising that Bud could throw another fastball taken right here at the knees. But again, that is the Bud Norris that has been so steadily right down in that area.
Well, you say right down in that area, and we've seen the Astros pitchers as a group just hit those spots right there at the knees. 2 strikeouts and 2 2/3, 35 pitches.
You know, it sounds easy. Pitching coaches preach, get the ball down. That's what we're going to do. But a lot of the time, guys are just simply missing down. They try to come up. They miss right in the middle of the plate. Bud Norris has really been a leader in this regard. But I would have to say that Jordan Lyles has been another guy who has just been a monster in this regard.
He has. DeAzo struck out opening the game. Takes a look at that one for ball 2. A brand new series tomorrow night matches Jordan Lyles and Alfredo Figueroa in game 1. 6:30 for the pregame show. Astros pregame live here on CSN Houston. Wednesday night it's Eric Bedard and Kyle Loesch. Thursday a day game for Lucas Harrell and Giovanni Gallardo. The banged up Brewers are in town with Ryan Braun among those on the disabled list. 3 balls, no strikes here for Bud Norris.
Well, the Astros hitters going to know what to do with right-handers on the hill.
Well, this is 4 lefty starters they have faced in a 4-game series, so it might be a little odd to them. Strike makes it 3-1 now. The Astros will pay the return visit to U.S. Cellular Field against the White Sox in late August. Tap foul. Well, the Astros are trying to join the Cleveland Indians as the only 2 major league clubs to sweep 2 4-game series this season.
It's a tough trick to turn, especially when you start out 10-30 on the season, which is what the Astros did.
Last time the Astros swept 2 4-game series in a season was the 08 year. Foul back. The Astros had not faced 4 left-handed starting pitchers in a row since the 02 season before tonight. They faced Umar Dahl and Kaz Ishii of the Dodgers, and then Mike Hampton and Denny Nagel of the Rockies in those 4 consecutive games in 02, and the Astros won all 4 of those. Fly ball left field. Backing up for J.D. Martinez for the 3rd out, and that's 7 straight set down by Bud Norris. 1-0 Astros.
Lee White 73, he tweets, I just realized the Astros gave free Chick-fil-A sandwiches away 2 days in a row. Can they make it 3? Well, we sure hope so, because that means somebody hit a home run, and the Astros have a winning record when hitting a home run. You see there Jason Castro's from yesterday. It was the shortest home run in Minute Maid Park history, actually, but it doesn't matter. It was still a home run. And then Chris Carter clanked one off the foul pole for a home run the day before, meaning back-to-back free chicken sandwiches. Save those ticket stubs, everybody.
Oh,
Ronnie?
yeah. They'll love to greet you with a chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A when you bring in your ticket stub. Brandon Barnes showing bunt. Takes a breaking pitch low, and there's ball one to Brandon, who took strike 3 in the first inning.
I was looking at the box score and the HR that was behind the name of Jason Castro, and it didn't look short at all.
No. Well, that was the shortest, one of the shortest home runs in the history of Minute Maid Park, the one that Jason hit last night off the base of the left field foul pole. 2-0 to Brandon Barnes. It's all right. It counts.
Yeah, you think he cares?
Not really. Better than a long out. 2 balls and a strike.
Hang with him. Keep swinging it.
Somebody hit one years ago. Dave Roberts was playing center field for the Dodgers, and he caught it standing up on the top of Talus Hill.
Well, he must have been playing deep to begin with.
You better believe it.
That's a shuttle back there.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
Can you imagine being the guy that hit that ball that would have gone 440 plus?
That's not a good feeling. Still 2-2.
I wonder how many hang with them's he got.
So when the Astros were 10 and 30, what do you think the odds are that they would have been 16 and 14?
Wow. I think you could have gotten just about any odds you asked for.
Some people would have said when Puigs fly, that's when that will happen. Foul back.
Puigs fly, huh?
Yeah.
None of us had heard of Mr. Puig at that time.
No.
Yasiel Puig.
No, we really hadn't.
But a lot of folks have heard of him now. Guy comes up from Double-A, and he has become the poster boy for the Dodgers.
Bud Norris leads at 1-0. As you saw with Quintana, progressively the hitters do better each time through the order against him. That's a shot into center field. Barnes did a whole lot better. He rammed that single back through the box. Hit number 3 for Houston.
You know, we've talked a lot about Brandon Barnes and his defensive prowess, all that he can do, but he needs to keep these shots coming. This is where you earn yourself that chance to be in the lineup, and especially as that leadoff man day after day.
Now he's aboard with 4 steals, and Jose Altuve behind him. Justin Maxwell hit a home run for Oklahoma City in last night's game. Altuve lined a single to right and scored in the first. Inside for ball 1. So that's J-Max's first long ball on his minor league rehab assignment. Unfortunately, the Round Rock Express overtook the Oklahoma City Red Hawks to win that game 9-4 with a huge 8-run 9th inning. Jose Valdez, the closer for the Red Hawks, was the losing pitcher in that game. Mike Oltz hit 2 home runs in the 9th inning of that game. Jonathan Villar hit a couple for the Red Hawks. He now has 7, and Brandon Laird hit his 7th as well. Good start for Asher Wojciechowski. 1 earned run in 6 innings. And the throw goes over to first again on Barnes. So with the Astros and Justin Maxwell, who was 1 for 4 in that game overall, there's been speculation that Justin might rejoin the club when it goes to Wrigley Field in Chicago after the Thursday game. We simply don't know when he'll be here.
Is he a good Ivy player?
Must be. Fouled away, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Well, that'll be weird going back to Wrigley Field, Ash. We haven't been there in a long, long time.
For me, it has been quite a while.
That's true. Yeah. The Blue Jays might not have been there in a while.
No, I think maybe one time in one series in 6 years. I imagine you look forward to that trek up to the booth.
Always. It's always a heart pounder. The elevator is not available.
Forthcoming.
2 balls and a strike. How did they do on changing the rules of Wrigley Field and getting more night games and getting city's permission to add all those improvements around there? Have you heard?
Yeah, I think I have. We've got 3 day games coming up, right?
Yeah, we do. So it didn't happen.
I don't know. I guess it's still in legislation.
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of like the day games. When you're going in for one series, if you're the team playing all those day games as the home club, maybe it's tougher, but I'm good. I'm good with 3 games in the day and then have some evenings off.
Well, there's going to be no complaint from anybody with the traveling party because there's a day game here on Thursday to set up that 3-game series, all day games at Wrigley.
That is a key that I wish came into play more often, especially when there are lengthy trips coming from the West Coast back this way.
Yeah.
Those night games are tough.
Well, maybe we should have visiting broadcasters and home broadcasters.
I think that has a chance of happening.
Foul ball keeps the count at 2-2 for Jose Altuve.
We use yours, you use ours.
Well, you know, when the lights first began at Wrigley, it was such a revolutionary thought. What was it, 88?
Yeah.
First year they had lights, and it changed everything in a positive way. If you were traveling in there after a night game, we'll say in Houston or St. Louis or somewhere, and didn't have to play a day game that first game in against the Cubs, that was a break for the visiting club. Ground ball, foul.
Unless Fergie Jenkins was pitching against you. And then there was no break at all.
But for the Cubs players, let's say they had been on the West Coast, well, you know, they didn't want to get hit with a day game, that first game of a homestand, so that was one of the reasons they wanted the lights at Wrigley Field, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess so, and I think that they also wanted to catch up with the game and all the night games and fans having a chance. But man, they've kind of had a monopoly up there. Even with 2 clubs in town, they just fill it up game after game.
They really do. Great city for sports. And those Blackhawk fans are following the Stanley Cup Championship Series, of course. Very, very carefully. Counts 2-2, and Quintana is at 56 pitches in this game.
The Bears are going to be Urlacherless.
Are they?
Yeah.
You're really keeping up with the Chicago sports scene here. Altuve's down on strikes. Number
Tough
2.
pitch breaking down and in on Jose.
Strikeout for Quintana. Yeah. Late break to it. And the lefty with a 3-2 record moves on to face Jason Castro. Well, Castro is just getting his fill of left-handed pitching and doing better and better against it in this series. 2 homers and now an RBI double. J.D. Martinez on deck. That's ball 1. Going back to Castro's RBI double, Altuve scored from first on that ball, and it landed against that left center field fence. It looked like it was between the fence and the padding at the bottom of the fence. Alejandro Diaz went over and picked the ball out of that padding and threw it back in, with Altuve scoring. That's a strike, and it's 1-1. We're going to have to check on the ground rules involving a ball that lodges between the fence and the padding like that.
Yeah, is there an automatic rule in place in Major League Baseball that says if a ball wedges into a padded area that it's the ground rule double, or does it have to be brought up in every individual ballpark? And if so, I don't know that it's ever come up here in this yard.
Right. Diving back in, Barnes on the low throw. Well, for instance, it has been wedged underneath the padding, I know in right field.
Yep.
For instance, and if the outfield goes over and the ball is just really wedged in there, it's supposed to be a ground rule double right there.
Because I think that teams are told, tell your outfielder to throw his hands in the air, and at that point the umpires will come and take a look, and if they agree, it's a ground ruler.
Barnes is going. The throw skips on through into center field. He pops up and heads for third base. And Brandon Barnes at third with 1 out in the inning. That could be a key play for the Astros as the Jimenez throw went on through into center.
Brandon Barnes was hung out to dry with a good throw here. No doubt about it. That little slide step makes it tough. Pitch up. Perfection there for a catcher to deal with. And yet it turns into an ugly toss.
And now with Barnes at third, the infielders come in. That's the 5th steal of the year for Brandon. And then an error on Jimenez, his 2nd. And the count's 1-2 for Castro now. Certainly does change the perspective of this inning with Barnes going from 1st to 3rd on that play. Castro takes it. It's 2-2. Five times in 10 tries, Jason has driven in the runner from 3rd. Just under the American League average for these runner at 3rd, fewer than 2-out situations. And fouls it back. And certainly the hitter feels that it's on him now. It's his job to get this man home. Sometimes that can work against him. Might chase a bad pitch.
That's a good job right there by Castro, getting a piece of that fastball up and in. Other than that pitch, trying to come in on the hands with the heater, I'm surprised right now that any club is throwing Jason a fastball out over the plate to handle. I would think they would want to see what he can do against the left-handers, I'm speaking, with the breaking ball. What he's doing is finding a way to lay off those close ones out of the zone.
3-2 now.
There's now on the 3-2. Does he get the heater?
Castro came into this game hitting 182 against left-handed pitching. 8 hits and 44 at bats. And fouls it back with a good cut. Astros as a team are hitting only 206 in the month of June. But they've been surviving with not a whole lot of offense, thanks to the outstanding pitching they've received. For instance, in this series, they've won 3 games out of 3, and they've scored 11 runs in the 3 games while hitting 200 as a team. Heard one report that Scott Boras is coming into Houston later tonight.
Well, that's if that's true, that's got to be interpreted as good news.
Yeah.
Mark Appel, represented by that individual.
Deep drive to right field by Castro. He bangs it off the wall. That'll get the runner in easily from 3rd, throwing to 2nd. He gets another double. 2 doubles and 2 runs batted in for Castro. That was a rifle shot, scoring Barnes 2-0. Rip that one.
For the moment anyway, Jason Castro has really found it. And against left-handers driving the baseball. This ball very close to getting out of here. How still his hands are as he approaches the ball.
Scoring easily after the stolen base and the error. And it's 2-0 with Castro at 2nd for Martinez. 20 doubles for Castro now. Martinez fouls it away, strike 1. This is game number 71. That is a very good doubles pace. You get to 40 doubles or more in a major league season, you've had an outstanding year with 2 base hits. Back by JD, and it snowballs 2 strikes. Chris Carter was in left field yesterday. JD had the day off. Down and in for a ball. That makes it 1-2. This Thursday, Commissioner Bud Selig will be here, among others, for the Major League Baseball Diversity Business Summit, George R. Brown Convention Center. JD chased it, and he's down on strikes. That's number 3.
It just trying to come down in the strike zone, leaving it up and getting the strikeout. That's one that you hope as a hitter you can lay off of all the time.
Quintana battling here with 69 pitches. And it's Chris Carter who drew a 4-pitch walk in the first inning, trying to extend the inning. But it's going to be an intentional pass, and it'll be Carlos Pena's at bat instead. But with his second walk of the ninth, it's 29 bases on balls for Chris Carter this season. And Pena will get the RBI opportunity. Robin Ventura's club trailing 2-0, trying to set it up for a lefty on lefty, and hoping that Quintana can get out of the inning by retiring Pena. Meanwhile, we'll go to Julia Morales.
Thank you, Brownie. As we look ahead to Thursday, June 20th, we want to remind everyone to get to Minute Maid Park earlier when the Astros take on the Brewers at 1:10. 10,000 fans will receive a drawstring bag courtesy of the MLB Network. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS to get your tickets now. Back up to you.
Thanks, Julia. Carlos Pena worked the count to 3-1. He grounded out to first in the first inning. He's hit .234 against Southpaws this season. Pitch is outside. Castro took a couple of aggressive steps toward third base, and it's ball 1.
I think more than any notion of trying to steal a bag, that's that effort to try to make sure you could score on a single.
He's really working on those leads tonight. He did that when he was at third base back in the first inning. This guy is not just putting in his time as a base runner. He's really trying to make sure that he can score if he gets the opportunity to do that. 2-0.
Okay, as a catcher, most of the time you're not going to be a guy that's burning on the bases, but you want to make sure you score when you're supposed to score. That means on second base, a single to the outfield, especially 2 outs. You've got to make sure you can touch pay dirt.
Fly ball to left. Ciedo comes in. And in the third inning, the Astros tack on a run on 2 hits with an error. They stranded 2, and it's 2-0 Astros.
and have fun with Astros baseball. Whether you're treating your employees, hosting clients, or bringing out your church or youth sports team, will create an experience your group is sure to remember. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com to enjoy special pricing and great benefits by reserving your group or suite today. Trevor Crowe out in right field today, getting another start, and Bo Porter says that will be the norm from now on, naming him a starter. He isn't doing it because of his batting average, which is 194, but because of his ability to make things happen. Bo Porter mentioned a big 10-pitch at-bat yesterday for Crowe that drew a walk, setting up bases loaded for Matt Dominguez to clear them with a 3-run double, guys.
And he scored from first on that double, and he was credited with good base running by Dave Tremblay, the third base coach. So that was important, too. You bring up a point. There's strike one to Alexi Ramirez that we really hadn't addressed, and that is the fact that Trevor has gotten more playing time in right field than Jimmy Paredes in the last couple of weeks. And Bo did, as Julia mentioned, talk about that when asked today. It's been kind of a shift in Bo's thinking, and just looking at numbers doesn't fully address his decision. Their numbers actually are fairly close in terms of on base and slugging percentage, but that's not the whole matter here. Foul back, and as Julia mentioned, Bo talked about just his defensive work, his positioning, his base running, all those things put together.
You mentioned, Brownie, the defensive work, the Dayan Viciedo ball to end the second inning. Tough play, line drive down the right field side, and he made it rather routinely. He is more the veteran-esque player, and he seems to make few mistakes. And I think the more this team wins, the more you give yourself a chance to become winning players.
Point well taken. Ground ball to shortstop. And Cedeno makes the play. 1 out.
Log on to csnhouston.com and click on In-Game Live to enhance your Astros experience via computer, smartphone, or tablet. Get in-depth stats and join the social buzz. In-Game Live only on csnhouston.com.
Alex Rios is the batter. He doubled to left field in the first inning. Been checking the ground rules about the ball that lodged in the fence. It's really not covered in the Minute Maid Park ground rules that we can find anyway. The media guide, there's strike one to Rios.
Would you regard that as padding?
I would.
I would as well, and there is a stipulation about a ball at the top of the padding if a ball gets lodged, and for me, actually, that ball got lodged in the top of padding that happens to be on that screen fence area in front of the bullpen.
Right. I think as you could see on that last shot there of the outfield padding, okay, you could see how it would get lodged in the crack there.
Yeah, and that may be specifically what they're talking about when they talk about top of padding.
So that's a double if it sticks in there in the padding. But what about between the fence and that padding? It's not covered that we can find. 2 balls, 2 strikes. It was at the bottom area of the fence, between that fence and the padding, that the ball stuck. So we'll have to check around tomorrow.
The life of the bullpen.
Well, they've been doing a good job. They deserve a little rest out there from their efforts. We're not sure if Jose Veras is available tonight, by the way. In the air to shallow right field. That loops in for a hit. And it's picked up by Crowe on the single by Rios.
All right, this pitch by pitch is brought to you by Steel Dealers. Adam Dunn at the plate. His previous at bat, that breaking ball to start him for a strike, and then the fastball got ahead. At that point, Bud tried to come with the sliders down and in, twice missing, but then stayed in with the fastball right on the hands to get the ground ball hit to Pena. And nicely done by Bud Norris.
Now Dunn up for the second time after that ground out. Adam has been on base in 8 games in a row now. And during that time, he's 10 for 28. 5 homers, 9 runs batted in. Batting average has come up from 156 to 183. In tight, ball 1. Bud Norris, a 6th-round draft choice of the Astros in 06. Trying to square his record at 6-6. The runner takes off. Here's the throw from Castro, and it's safe at second. Cedeno taking that throw right on the base, but Rios gets his 11th steal.
This is an outstanding throw from Jason Castro. Not only where it winds up, but look how quickly he gets rid of the ball. And it winds up in the ideal spot. That's just a great jump and speed, able to pick the bag. You can't do better than what Jason Castro just did.
Close call. Rios is a good base stealer. He was 23 for 29 last year. 75% of the time as a major leaguer, he has attempted steals. He's been successful. 11 this year now. And Dunn gets underneath at a high drive, but it'll hang up. J.D. Martinez in left center. And just to draw a throw, Rios tag. It's out number 2. But J.D. had already squared his body toward third base. Now Paul Konerko bats. Konerko hit a looping liner to shortstop in the 2nd inning after working the count full. So in Dunn and Konerko, Robin Ventura has 2 hitters back-to-back in his lineup, both of whom have hit more than 400 home runs in their careers.
Says a couple of things. Number one, that those guys have a lot of power and they've had a lot of success. It also says they're probably toward the tail end of their careers.
Yeah. The Sox are hoping it's not all that close, but it's hard to say, isn't it? Paul is 37 years old. Adam Dunn is 33. Outside for ball 1. And only 3 of Bud Norris's 14 starts this year have the Astros scored more than 3 runs. He lost 4-0 his last start in Seattle. He lost 3-1 to Baltimore the start before that. Fly ball to right. Chasing Crow back just short of the track. And he handles out number 3. No runs, a hit, and a man stranded. Through 3.5, it's 2-0 Astros. As White Sox go back to Robin's playing days with the White Sox, and Nolan Ryan hit him with a pitch in '93. Robin charged the mound.
Robin didn't seem fully committed the last couple of steps, and maybe that's why. Nolan Ryan was putting a beating on that head.
Got him in that headlock and hammered away, and then the pile started.
I always felt like Robin got a couple of steps away from Nolan and thought, I can't do this. That's Nolan Ryan.
Well, that's the way it looked.
Yeah.
Hey, there was a little hesitation there.
He who hesitates may not be lost, but he sure is going to get beat up.
Who hesitates is in for some noogies sometimes. Fouled back by Ronnie Cedeno. No balls and 2 strikes to Ronnie. Ronnie grounded out to the mound.
I wasn't aware that Nolan had all those moves in him, but that was very impressive.
Yeah. Can't remember another mound charging going exactly like that one. Foul back, still 0-2. Dominguez and Crow follow Cedeno against Quintana here in the 4th.
I believe it was Nolan Ryan on the hill in an Astros uniform with Dave Winfield going out. And Louis Pujols was the catcher that day, so I don't have that on the field remembrance. But Winfield, rather big guy himself, went right on by with a swing over Nolan's head.
Yeah,
and that one could have ended badly.
1 ball, 2 strikes, absolutely.
But agility apparently was also part of Nolan's game.
Cedeno's down on strikes. That's strikeout number 4 for Quintana. He's had to work tonight, though. He's thrown 80 pitches so far.
Nothing fancy here, just high heater. And maybe out over the plate. Cedeno kind of reaching with that one.
Matt Dominguez, who tapped out, and the catcher threw him out in the 2nd inning. Comes around for the 2nd time. There's strike 1 to Matt with Trevor Crow on deck. And a rain delay in St. Louis with the Cubs and Cardinals tonight. Top of the 2nd inning, no score. Off the plate, it goes on 1 bounce to 3rd. There's the play by Gillespie, 2 outs. Well, that Cardinal club's a handful for anybody right now with a 44-25 record. Shelby Miller on the mound. Royals and Indians are tied 1-1. They're in the top of the 9th at Cleveland. Santana, the Cleveland catcher, hit his 10th. Phillies lead the Nationals 4-3. They're in the bottom of the 8th in Philadelphia. Ryan Howard has belted his 8th of the year. The Phillies are at 33 and 37, and some of the media speculating right now they could be moving some people on to other teams if things don't turn around very quickly for them. Trevor Crow grounded out to shortstop. Foul away, strike 1.
Brownie, with you talking about the Cardinals, they are presently the best combination of offense and pitching going on in the major leagues.
Boy, they are. And they've had some pitching injuries and dealt with them so well this year.
They are 3rd best in the major leagues in runs scored. They're 2nd best in ERA. Pretty nice combo.
1 ball, 1 strike. As you look at the races, it's really interesting here. Roughly the 70-game mark for most clubs. Tight race in the NL West. Really tight. 4 clubs within 2 games of each other. It's 1-2 to Trevor Crow. Meanwhile, in the NL Central, the top 3 clubs are within 3 games. St. Louis, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. In the East, Atlanta has built a nice 6.5 game. Ball John Washington. Oakland leads Texas by 3, and they're playing each other. To shortstop, Alexei Ramirez with the throw for a 1-2-3 4th for Quintana. A 2-0 Houston lead through 4. provided by Jason Castro, stand up quite well so far, Ash.
Continues to pitch great baseball. Shutting out the White Sox to this point. He's had a good fastball, 92 to 94 on the night. He spotted it at the knees. He's been able to run it with authority up and away. And when it's all said and done, checking to see, did I leave that one up in a zone I didn't want to? Just trying to get better and better. But it's all coming together very nicely for Bud Norris.
56 pitches, 4 shutout innings for Bud. 2 hits, both by Rios in the game. Now Gillespie leads it off in the 5th. He grounded on 1 pitch back to Bud Norris. An inside ball 1. In addition to signing second-round pick Andrew Thurman, the Astros have signed 4 additional players from the 2013 draft today. Jordan Mills, a left-handed pitcher, the 28th round choice. Jorge Perez, right-handed pitcher, the 30th rounder. Tyler White, a first baseman, 33rd rounder. Altuve lays out, can't stop it from going into right field. A leadoff single for Gillespie here in the White Sox 5th inning.
All-out effort by Jose. You can see he's shaded up the middle a bit. So this ground ball headed to kind of a normal second base position, finds a hole. But again, that all-out diving effort.
Astros also signed a left-handed pitcher, their 36th rounder, J.D. Osborne, today. Viciedo line to right, and that's the play Ash mentioned that involved a great catch by Trevor Crowe. Foul back, strike 1. He made it look pretty easy, moving to his left to snag that liner. Now Cedeno comes in from shortstop.
As you talk, Brownie, about that play by Trevor Crowe, through the years, I would say that ball that's especially down but lined on the glove side of an outfielder where he has to run hard has been the tougher play between that and the backhand side. That glove side gives a lot of guys fits.
Strike 0-2. Well, the Astros have made 52 errors this year, so they have plenty of room for improvement. But during this late run, and you see a good pitch there, they've supported their pitchers pretty well with nice defensive work.
That location with good quality velocity will earn you some money through your career.
And a swing and a miss. Got him on a breaking pitch.
So then you come back with a slider. You start it in the same spot as it looks like a fastball coming out of the hand. Watch where this starts. Right in that same spot and then breaks under the knees. It's great work by Bud combined with Castro.
Another K goes up. That's 3 for Bud. Beckham the batter now. Beckham's put together a good run this season. He was out for weeks with a broken bone in his left hand, but he's come back to hit well. He bounced to shortstop on the first pitch. That's in for strike 1 to Beckham. The Astros now have signed 22 of their 40 draft choices this year, including 6 of their top 10. And those guys are headed out any day now. Andrew Thurman, who joined us tonight, will be joining Conrad Gregor of Vanderbilt, Tony Kemp of Vanderbilt at Tri-City. And it's going to be a familiar field for Kemp and Vanderbilt, and Kemp and Gregor, rather, both from Vanderbilt, because they played next to each other on the right side of the infield for the Commodores this season.
Andrew Thurman, a nice young man. It's the impression you get here. We had the chance to visit with him in the booth, and a quiet confidence that kind of comes along with him.
He was ready to fire it up there, wasn't he?
Ready to go.
Bring on Miguel Cabrera. Foul back, still 0-2.
He had no back off at all on that one, did he?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, he was thrilled to face the boys in the Cape Cod League with the wooden bats. So I thought, well, okay, I can think of a guy that may not make you all that happy.
Exactly. That was a great crowd yesterday on the Father's Day game. 25,829 with a very enjoyable Houston win, 5-4. Swing and a miss by Beckham, and he's down on strikes. That's victim number 4.
Now this type of location that Bud's putting together right now should pick up some strikeouts. Again, it's that very same slider that he got Viciedo with after spotting fastballs down around the knees.
Now Norris, with 2 outs, faces Hector Jimenez. He struck out looking in the 3rd inning. And there's ball 1.
Well,
close, huh?
yeah, that's a good looking pitch, and that's exactly where you want it. I will suggest from the side that might look like it's gotten some knees. We grow accustomed to seeing that called a ball quite a bit of the time. You look at that pitch at the front of the plate. A little higher than you might think.
It's 2-0 to Hector Jimenez. Yeah, the problem is the umpire's behind the plate.
Yeah. He's found it difficult to work in front of the plate.
Well, maybe that should be a part of the mix. Maybe that'll be a part of Despicable Me 2 coming up July 3rd as well. Cute little bug.
And how the umpires keep home plate so nice and clean.
That might come into play. Could be a part of the speed up measures in the game. Now 3 balls, no strikes.
Can't come soon enough for me.
Well, Brian McTaggart is reporting at Astros.com that Jeff Luhnow said the club is fully engaged in contract talks with the #1 overall pick Mark Appel and hopes to be able to complete a deal this week. Popped up. Johnny Cedeno with the grab. No runs, a hit, a man left. Middle of the 5th inning, 2-0 Astros.
June 29th, the Astros take on Howard Pujols, Mike Trout, and the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim at 3:10. Be sure to get to Minute Maid Park early, as 10,000 fans will receive a white home replica jersey courtesy of Champion Energy Services. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS to get your tickets now. Brownie.
That's a good one to point for. Saturday, June 29th. There is the newcomer, Andrew Thurman, Cal Irvine. He joined us earlier, along with Jeff Luhnow, getting his new Astros jersey. Scouting director Mike Elias there. Proud moment for the Thurman family and the Houston Astros as they begin a relationship.
I'll tell you what, if you can win games with your hair, he is going to win 300.
And Brad Bazinski, the scout, who signed him. All smiles. Here's Brandon Barnes now. Brandon Singleton made something happen with a steal. He scored a run in the 3rd inning. Fouls that one back. There's strike 1 as Quintana Battles against the Astros and Norris. Norris has thrown only 46 pitches through 5. Quintana is at 88 pitches for the night. Ian Kennedy has dropped his appeal. He will begin serving his 10-game suspension for the Diamondbacks. 1 ball and 1 strike. That's a shot off the glove of Quintana and on through it to center field. A rocket off the bat of Brandon Barnes. He has scalded a couple of balls through the middle tonight.
Yeah, he's left Quintana dancing and then just trying to lay some leather on it. Well done by Brandon.
Barnes is aboard for Jose Altuve. That was the case in the 3rd. Altuve struck out, but then Barnes stole second and continued to 3rd on a throwing error by Jimenez. Speaking of Jimenez, he popped up for the final out in the top of the 5th inning on a 3-0 pitch. The number 9 hitter given a green light, if in fact he was, by Robin Ventura. That's somewhat surprising.
I'd say somewhat is an understatement. Man, unless Robin Ventura is thinking, look, we need to give somebody a chance to get a big swing for this club. No, I'm not even buying that.
Swing by Altuve, and there's strike 1 to Jose.
Looked like Jose was trying to shoot one to right field.
And I don't know what your feeling is on that, but that is the way it appeared. So you can go ahead and tell us what your feeling is on that now. Do you try to hit the ball to right field?
Well, he's got a big hole on that side, and he's gifted enough that he seems to be at times able to put it where he wants. So I don't see anything wrong there. The other thing about a base hit to right field is it's the most likely scenario in which the runner from first is able to take 3rd.
That is really true. It's a great advantage to be able to hit that ball to right field in this situation. Well, that looked like a balk move. He stepped perilously close to the plate and through to first base.
Well, we have seen a number of left-handers cheating it to death. Yeah. That's not making a committed step toward first base.
If Bob Davidson were here tonight,
we would have a different outcome on that one.
Barnes would be at second base right now. 1-2.
There again is Altuve trying to shoot one to right.
Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw apparently are trying to conclude negotiations on a huge deal for Kershaw. Altuve looks at ball 2, and it's 2-2 to Jose. Well, now, since he was an all-star last year, could be one again this year. The media is starting to ask Jose, well, what about Jason Castro? He said, well, sure, he's having an all-star type season.
Bet he is. And again, we went through some of those numbers, the WAR numbers, earlier on in the day, and Jason Castro stacks up very well in the American League. Well, only Joe Mauer among catchers better in that category. That's
is that a step toward first?
No, but it's not the worst move I've seen either. Okay. But yeah, they're more and more left-handers getting away with pretty sloppy moves.
They're going, and the throw from Jimenez is high, and a steal for Barnes. And it was ball 3 to Altuve. Barnes now with 2 in this game, 6 for the year.
In each case, Brandon Barnes has drawn a throw from the catcher that wasn't a real good one. This one on line but high. The other one just simply a poor throw into center field. Brandon Barnes doing what leadoff men would like to do.
And he is not being deterred by Quintana with 3 pickoffs, having a really troublesome move for a base stealer. Aggressive on the bases tonight. 2 steals, and the count is now full on Altuve. Altuve's down on strikes. That's number 5 for Quintana. Nate Jones is warming up.
Pretty much like that last time when Jose struck out, that little slider cutter down and in. Kind of the Andy Pettit pitch.
Here's the man of the night for the Astros, Jason Castro, and in these 3 games plus a few innings of this one tonight, he's 5 for 10, 2 homers, 2 doubles, 5 runs batted in the series.
I bet you Robin Ventura would give a nod of assent that Jason Castro is deserving of an all-star bid.
Yeah, from his perspective, Jason's been a very tough out. Alexei Ramirez went to second, and now he's in position, and they get a rundown going on Barnes. And now the third sacker reaches and misses him and runs him back to Alexei Ramirez. And meanwhile, the batter's at second, Castro. So Barnes did his job occupying the rundown long enough so that Castro could get all the way to second on a 1-6-5-6 play.
That's impressive work by Brandon Barnes. It's also poor work defensively by the White Sox. They just didn't accomplish what you're supposed to do on a rundown. Run at him. He runs partially there, but now the infielder just lay back. They don't come charging on the backside. And Brandon Barnes, with athletic ability, able to get out of one tag.
What a move to get away from Gillespie.
The old football days kicked in for Brandon Barnes.
You bet. J.D. Martinez has Castro on at second. That's ball 1. J.D.'s bounced back to the pitcher, and he struck out. Phil Boudreau says that was Barnes on the dive play there on football days.
Oh, that's the dive play. I've always wondered what that meant.
Like you've never seen it.
Yeah.
Foul back. 1-1. But, you know, they got lucky, the White Sox did. Ramirez shouldn't have been at second when that pitch was delivered, but then he was in a perfect type position to take that rundown throw as the pitcher Quintana got it to him. They left the left side of the infield open, but Castro couldn't get the ball there. Way outside, and it's 2-1. Castro again winds up at second base. This time it's an 0 for 1, but he's wound up at second on all 3 of his at-bats tonight. Now 100 pitches have been thrown by Quintana. At a 1-2-3 second and 1-2-3 fourth. He's labored in the other innings. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and yet it's only a 2-0 ball game, so he is keeping his club in it, although he may not be in it much longer. Pitch count at 1-0-1 for Quintana. Quintana threw 117 pitches when he faced the Angels back on May 11th, giving up 2 earned runs in 6 innings in that game. White Sox will break the trend and throw a right-hander in their next game. Dylan Axelrod will pitch at Minnesota tomorrow night after 4 straight lefties. It's 3-2. Kind of a crazy one at Arlington, Texas, with Nate Jones warming up here. Rangers 7, Athletics 6 at the end of 5. A.J. Pierzynski has hit number 6 for Texas. Nelson Cruz has hit a pair to give him 18. And that's a walk to J.D. Martinez. That's number 3. The Rangers had all kinds of problems for about the last 2.5 weeks scoring runs. They're having a breakout kind of night tonight, but they have fallen 3 games behind the Oakland Athletics.
Even the start of the year, the Texas Rangers, in their success, it was more about their pitching than their offense.
Sure was. And now this could be pitching change time with right-hander Chris Carter coming up. Robin Ventura making that slow walk to the mound. He's had the right-hander Nate Jones. And now he will signal him into this ball game. Though Quintana was able to hang in there, but it's 2-0 as he trails here in the 5th inning. Back in a moment.
Nothing Astros. Join us Friday, June 28th for our next big and bright Friday night. The Astros take on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim at 7:10. Stay after the game for a spectacular fireworks show featuring music hits from Michael Jackson, presented by Marathon Oil. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com to get your tickets today, guys.
Thank you, Julia. Nate Jones is warming up. Quintana out of the game here in the 5th inning. The Astros leading it 2-0. They would love to put a big blow here on Nate Jones with a couple of men on base. As the right-hander warms up, it'll be Chris Carter to face him. It'll be a righty-on-righty confrontation. Jones with a whip of 1.27 has 2 wins, 4 losses, and an ERA of 5.19.
Really no difference with righties or lefties at the plate for Jones. Got a good arm, unusual delivery. Really haven't been many opportunities to break games open for the Astros, not certainly seized, and this would be one if you can come up with a big swing.
And Carter, who's not been able to swing the bat tonight, would love to oblige. 2 walks on 8 pitches. Runners at first and second, 2 outs for Chris. The Astros have 5 hits to the White Sox 3. Does have an unusual delivery.
Just kind of takes that ball up above the shoulder, reaches back.
Kind of a Statue of Liberty type play. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Suggesting maybe the running back comes behind.
Yes, I
takes the ball out of the hand.
I really think if they put Adam Dunn in motion, he could come right behind Nate Jones.
Adam Dunn says, I'm a quarterback. If I'm not the quarterback, I'm not playing.
And then Dunn could throw to Hector Jimenez in the end zone. Foul back. 1-2. Nate Jones pitching for the 3rd straight game. He worked a hitless inning on Saturday and then gave up a run yesterday.
It's a bit of a hanging slider right down the heart of the plate.
Yes, it is. Keeps going to that pitch on Carter here. And now the fastball gets him looking. So good work by Nate Jones, snuffing out this Astros 5th inning rally with no runs, a hit, 2 men left. It's 2-0 Houston. We'll take a look ahead now. Brand new series starting tomorrow night. Here's the pitching matchup brought to you by Chevron. Care for your car. Alfredo Figueroa with a 1-0 record, a 3.47 ERA. Back from 2 years in Japan to face Jordan Lyles, who's been really good lately. 2-0 with a 1.67 in the last 6 starts. Norris moves to inning number 6. It'll be the top of the order against him. De Aza, Ramirez, and Rios.
This game hasn't exactly had a snappy pace. It's not Bud Norris's fault.
No, it's not.
On the other side, Jose Quintana had a tough time finding the strike zone at times.
He went 4 2/3, allowing 5 hits, 2 runs, walking 3, fanning 5. Nate Jones picked him up with that strikeout on Carter. Now Bud Norris and De Aza square off for the 3rd time. A strikeout and a fly ball to left have been the results of the first 2 encounters for these two. Dominguez in on the grass, and there is strike 1 to De Aza. And there would be a thought of a bunt, perhaps, the way things have been going for the White Sox. Not scoring. They're dead last in the American League, 237 runs scored. They've lost 14 of 18. Not scoring runs in this series. Leadoff man leading off an inning. But Dominguez is in very close, and it's 1-1.
Before the first pitch of the inning, you could see Bud Norris actually chatting with Matt Dominguez, talking about the bunt possibility.
2 balls and a strike. They're in the doldrums offensively.
Yeah, they're not a good club offensively. They've got some decent pitching. They've got some great pitching. Chris Sale, absolutely outstanding, but they just are not scoring runs.
Liner to right. That's in for a hit for De Aza. Trevor Crowe fields it. And De Aza's 1 for 3 in this game. Hit number 4 for the Sox.
This could be one of those 2-0 fastballs, guess, get the barrel out and hit one situations where Bud might be fortunate it was just a single.
De Aza with 7 steals in 10 attempts is aboard for Alexi Ramirez, who's grounded out twice. Yeah, they are in the doldrums offensively, bottom of the league, but still better than the hitless wonders of 1906. However, that White Sox team won the World Series from the Cubs. First base.
What was it, 1959? The White Sox also won the World Series. Not much of a hitting ball club, but had great pitching.
That's true. Well, back in 1906, the White Sox scored 570 runs in 154 games. That would be just awful by today's standards. In 4,925 at bats, that White Sox team hit 7 home runs all year. Line drive left field goes foul. But they won the World Series.
7 home runs.
7 home runs. Believe that? What happened here? Oh. Come back.
Didn't even have a drink in the other hand either.
Wow. He's out of here. He threw himself out of the game after that.
I think he was playing lead blocker for somebody else. Oh, down he goes.
Man.
I hope his last name is not Frazier.
That's a tough night.
Howard Cosell stepping in.
It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
I think he needed a designated foul ball catcher.
He may also need a masseuse very soon. You would not want to be sitting in the same row with that man, would you?
It's big enough. I hope he doesn't hear about any cruel comments by broadcasters tonight.
Foul back, and it's 1-2. Hopefully he doesn't know where the garage is.
You're heading straight there after the game.
Oh, yeah. He's a pretty big fella. There was a guy in Cincinnati many years ago, Ash, foul ball hit up in the stands. He was in the second deck. He reached out. He was in the first row. They reached out, dropped the ball, and lost his balance. Almost tumbled down, grabbed himself by one arm on the railing.
Oh, dear.
This guy was, the media all ran up to interview him afterwards. He made all the highlights show. He was a huge football player at Indiana. He was able to completely suspend his entire weight with one hand while he grabbed the bar with the other arm and pulled himself back up again.
Wow. The man's got to know his own limitations. If you don't have any, just go for it.
That's rocked to right field, but Crow's right in position for that out. And it's out number 1 for Norris. Ramirez hit the ball pretty well. Now Rios is coming up, and he's 2 for 2. Bud with 50 strikes out of 76 pitches so far. Rios both times has worked the count to 2-2. He doubled to left in the first. He singled to right in the fourth and then stole a base. Now we'll check those 59 White Sox you mentioned. They didn't score a lot of runs, as you indicated, either. They scored 669 runs, so just about 100 more than the 06 club. And they hit 97 homers in 156 games. Aparicio and Fox. And good pitching.
So when you were a kid, did you have that Nellie Fox bat that came your way that
I did.
Had the big thick handle on it?
He was my favorite player.
You could actually use either end of the bat to hit with.
it was called a bottle bat, and it was that thick. Yeah, the handle was just really as thick as you're going to find. And it was hard to break that bat, but Nellie Fox was all about hitting for contact, and Aparicio would get on and steal, and then Fox would advance him, whether by a hit or a ground out or a bunt. He was an excellent bunter. But that's a bat you would not find in the bat rack today.
Yeah, I think A HOU Tobacco came free with that bat.
I believe that was part of the
decided
package.
To buy it. Nellie Fox found a way to make it work.
And he at one time played for the Houston club. And in fact, Joe Morgan has credited Nellie Fox with learning how to play second base from him.
Well, Joe seemed to learn pretty well.
But Fox, yeah, it was a totally different era. You're right. When it was tough to score then, and pitching and good defensive play featured Aparicio and Fox. Let's see, they had Jim Landis in center, and Sherm Lawler was the catcher. Lawler was the cleanup man. Norm Cash, who went on to an excellent career, was the first baseman. They had Johnny Callison. There's a shot to center field. Barnes with this line drive catch. So they're rocking some balls here on Norris, but he has 2 outs and a runner at first for Adam Dunn now.
I assure you, somebody is hollering out of that White Sox dugout, "You got him popping up." But Bud will take it. These are the good nights when the line drives find a fielder.
And now it becomes an issue of Adam Dunn representing the potential tying run in this game. And with his home run capabilities and recent performance, he's 0 for 2 tonight, but certainly a threat. Bud has the weapons, though, and we'll see how he works Adam Dunn this time up.
Yeah, I was thinking about some of the numbers you were talking about with the White Sox at 59, maybe other clubs that have had similar offenses. When you don't have home run hitters, does that base stealer become much more valuable?
I think so. And I think it's starting to swing that way again in the major leagues now.
Yeah, if the home runs are down and you have to find another way to score, you would think the stolen base would be a huge part of that.
As it was with Maury Wills and the Dodgers. 1-1 to Dunn.
MVP 1962, I believe.
Sounds right.
104 stolen bases.
You know, the way things have gone now in Major League Baseball, sure, there are a lot of home runs, but a lot of solo homers and many more strikeouts. So it would seem that the trend might be in the next few years more toward contact would be a possibility. Rolled up the middle and backhand. No, it's on through into center field. So Dunn gets a single. De Aza takes third. And now the White Sox have Paul Konerko coming up.
Oh, the nature of this game. 2 line shots at outfielders for outs, and then this little roller finds center field. It's really why you have to play 162 to figure out maybe who was the best team, who's the batting champ.
Dunn with more than half of his career hits for extra bases. Rolls a single past the diving Altuve here. And the White Sox have equaled the Astros hit total of 5, with Konerko having hit the looping liner to short and a fly ball to right. I just think that maybe that kind of a trend is coming again in the next few years. Certainly some of the players the Astros drafted, some of those college players from Vanderbilt, high on base average guys. That's strike one.
Well, a little second baseman looks like he can really scoop.
Yeah, and it would make sense to have some contact hitting players and still have some of the mashers in the middle, so those homers would be 3-run homers instead of solo shots.
Well, if you can get the mashers, you need those bats as well. But I think you're right. If this game is changing back a bit, you got to find those guys that can really run.
On through Norris and up the middle. Cedeno can't field it, and the White Sox get a run on a trickling single to shallow center field by Konerko. 26th run batted in. Somehow that ball snaked below Norris's glove and then eluded Cedeno as well for Konerko's RBI.
I don't know how this gets by Cedeno. Bud Norris has to be furious at himself, because this was definitely a catchable ball back at the mound. But for Ronnie Cedeno, looked like also one that maybe should be caught. Maybe Bud has the roughest time on this ground ball. Got to make that play.
And Cedeno got his glove on it, but then it got on into center field, scoring De Aza. 3 hits in the inning, and now it's 2-1. With Gillespie the batter, and Gillespie single to right in the 5th. He's 1 for 2. So now it's Adam Dunn at second, representing the potential tying run. And just with all the dominant pitching that's come into the game the last few years, Ash, it's going to be quite a challenge to score a lot of runs, it would appear, in the years to come in Major League Ball. You know, typically relief pitchers on any given club will come in and throw in the mid-90s.
Isn't that the truth? And we've seen it with team after team. They'll have 3-4 arms in the bullpen that can go 95 plus. Yeah, it's really not a break. As people used to always say, get the starter out of the game and get to the bullpen. That's not a break when those guys are coming in 1 inning apiece.
'87 pitches now for Bud Norris, as you can see there on the screen.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say we're all hoping that we have gotten to the, or are getting soon to the post-pharmaceutical era in this game. And you would think, if and when that does fully take place, that the small ball would become a larger part of what's done.
One and one.
Of course, a lot of pitchers benefited from what was going on a decade ago, and
that's true also.
Maybe still in the game.
Ground ball sharply hit, and Altuve throws to Norris. He can't hold on. Safe at first. Dunn stops at third. Well, if Norris had been able to catch the throw from Altuve, it's out number 3. And Altuve ranged far to his left. Pena went for the ball, so it had to be the pitcher covering who made the out, but Altuve's throw could not be caught by Norris for some reason.
At first glance, I can't imagine a better throw than what Altuve provided. Now, it's not an easy play for the pitcher dashing at the bag, but look at this throw. From that position, that was awfully tough. Yeah, can you put it up on the chest? Maybe so, but very catchable. And on the glove side for Bud. Yeah, that's a tough play for Jose.
Ruled a hit. Gillespie 2 for 3 now. And the bases are loaded with Doug Brocail at the mound. That's 7 hits now for the Sox. Viciedo is the batter. Nobody warming up in the Houston bullpen.
Carlos Pena might have made the mistake on that play, roving as far to his right as he did. It's always easier to say after the fact than what a first baseman deals with when he initially sees the ground ball.
Now bases loaded, and Viciedo is lined to right and struck out.
For me, that play was an E1. Throw was to the bag in plenty of time in a good spot.
Looked like it. That's ball 1. White Sox are hitting .231 as a team with the bases loaded this year. Viciedo is 0 for 1. He has Dunn, he has Konerko, and he has Gillespie on base. Norris has thrown 21 pitches in this inning. Bounce foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gordon Beckham on deck. Interleague play comes to Minute Maid Park tomorrow night with the Milwaukee Brewers opening a 3-game series. And the Astros continue the interleague portion of their schedule at Wrigley Field over the weekend against the Cubs. And they'll play the St. Louis Cardinals here. Swing and a miss by Viciedo. That takes the count to 1-2.
Bud Norris at 90+ pitches and 94 miles an hour.
Crowd hoping Bud can end it soon. The Cardinals will be here a week from tomorrow night for a 2-game series.
95, that's really trying to hump up.
No reason to save anything. 2 balls, 2 strikes. I asked Jose Veras before the game if he would be available tonight. He has saved the last 3 ball games, and he said he was going to go out and play catch and determine that. Viciedo hits it to center field. A long run for Barnes. Way back. Barnes way back. And it's extra bases. It's off the wall. Up on the hill. 3 runs are going to score. And the White Sox have the lead. 4-2 on a 3-run triple by Viciedo. Barnes tried to make another spectacular catch, as he did yesterday. But Viciedo was able to get that up on the hill for his 2nd triple of the year, giving him 18 runs batted in.
Yeah, the White Sox, after a couple of line drive outs, kind of dinked it around for some hits. But now this triple, that's the backbreaker at the moment. I don't know if Brandon read that at the first come off the bat moment as being that deep. Great effort when it's all said and done.
That's 4 straight hits. The one that really hurt was the Gillespie infield hit. Altuve throwing to Norris, and Bud unable to make that catch. Now Gordon Beckham, the batter. Josh Fields has begun to get loose in the Astros bullpen. There's ball 1 to Beckham.
Yeah, I imagine Bud would and probably will argue that he absolutely should have made the catch on that play at the bag at first.
Barnes had the long sprint for that triple. White Sox have been hitting a lot of triples. They hit 2 in 2 innings yesterday. So finally, a little bit of an explosion for Robin Ventura's White Sox, scoring 4 runs here in the 6th. They had a crazy game at Seattle about 10 days ago. They snapped an 8-game losing streak by winning the game in 16, 7-5. But that game was scoreless through 13. And then both teams exploded. Strike makes it 1-2 to Beckham. Beckham, the 8th White Sox player to bat here in the 6th inning. Now Quintana's off the hook. Ooh, Morris headed off the field. It's ball 2 and it's 2-2.
Wow. Better not take a lot of these 2-strike pitches right in that spot. But in this case, Bud Norris does not get the call.
Well, if that play is changed on Gillespie to an error on Norris, then of course the runs would be unearned. But as it stands right now, all these runs are earned in the inning, and that would be the first time for Bud that has happened since he gave up 7 runs in 5 innings in a loss at Detroit on May 13th. Fly ball, Barnes over into left center for the 3rd out. And in the 6th inning, it's a 4-run frame for the White Sox. On 5 hits, they leave a man, and they're up 4-2. His legs went for a hit, and then the ball that went to Altuve's left. Altuve throwing to Norris on the run at first base. That went for the infield hit on Gillespie. So a couple of times there, balls that were very elusive for Astros plays on the infield really mushroomed and turned into the 4-run frame. And now the White Sox have the lead with Nate Jones coming out for the bottom of the 6th inning. Jones took over and got Chris Carter looking with 2 men on to end the 5th. Now he could be the winning pitcher in this game. With Pena, Cedeno, and Dominguez due up in the Astros 6th inning. Now the Astros looking for a come from behind type win. Pena has grounded out and hit a fly ball to left. White Sox bullpen in the middle of the pack in ERA in the American League at 3.84. Jesse Crane has been the hot hand in their bullpen with 25 1/3 scoreless innings in a row coming into this one. That's a slider for strike 1. We've seen a high proportion of sliders from Jones so far in this game. Norris has allowed 8 hits and 4 runs so far through 6.
Statistically, if Bud were to come out of this game, it's one where people would probably say, well, he didn't have a real good night. I would disagree. Through 5 innings, I thought Bud was exceptional. But then with those little ground balls and a ball that gets through Bud's legs, and then the throw from Altuve at the back at first base as Bud doesn't come up with a catch, it just all snowballs, and Viciedo's triple makes him pay.
Big cut there by Pena. That takes the count to 1-2. Nate Jones from Covington, Kentucky, went to Northern Kentucky University. Last year was his first year as a major leaguer, and it was a very good one for Nate. An 8-0 record and a 2.39 ERA for 65 games. Yesterday, the Astros snapped his 6-game scoreless streak, covering 7 2/3. Little chopper goes over toward the line, and Jones will toss to Adam Dunn, 1 out. Ronnie Cedeno's the batter. Cedeno starting against the lefty Quintana. Has excellent numbers against left-handed pitching. And he stays in for this third at-bat of the night against the right-hander, 0 for 2. Matt Dominguez is on deck. White Sox bullpen with 19 saves and 24 opportunities has preserved a lot of leads. The closer Addison Reed is having a nice year for Chicago. Up and in for ball 1. Jones was drafted in 07 by the Sox with their 5th round pick. That's in for a strike to even the count at 1-1. Baseman Gillespie even with the bag. That one goes into center field, and Ronnie Cedeno's aboard. Hit number 5 for the Astros. Make it number 6 for the Astros.
Dave Clark letting Ronnie Cedeno know, pick up the signs right now. Just never know when you might have something on, and that hit and run could factor in.
Cedeno is aboard for Matt Dominguez. Dominguez has grounded out twice. Matt takes a look at it. It's ball 1. Dominguez has bounced into 9 double plays. Leisurely toss over to first on Cedeno. Cubs and Cardinals after a rain delay resuming play, and in the bottom of the 5th inning it's 2-0 Redbirds. They're up against Travis Wood. Shelby Miller started for the Cardinals tonight. Foul back, and it's a 1-ball-1-strike count. They're in the last of the 7th in Arlington, Texas, where the Rangers lead the Athletics 7-6, trying to cut into that 3-game Oakland lead. Diamondbacks 1, Marlins 0 after 3 in Arizona. Paul Goldschmidt hit number 16. He's a strong first half of the year MVP candidate in the National League. 1-2.
Hanger, jump on that thing when you get a chance.
Barely stayed in the mitt, too.
Ball was ready to fly.
Padres 0, Giants 0 after 1 in San Francisco. Barry Zito. Dominguez with the check swing call going his way. Takes the count to 2-2. Mike Everett with the call.
Yeah, it looked like Matt was able to hold it back, but from the side, that was much closer than I might have thought initially.
Yes. Final score, the Phillies beat the Nationals 5-4. Papelbon got the win, beating Abad. Some think Papelbon might be shopped by the Phillies if they don't turn things around quickly. Angels lead the Mariners 1-0. They've played 1.5 in Anaheim. Well, Porter's club here had a 2-0 lead, then a 4-run top of the 6th inning. Has put the Sox in the lead. Trevor Crow's on deck. Runner going, and it's a swing and a miss, but the ball popped out of the hand of Jimenez. It's a strikeout for out number 2 and a steal for Cedeno, his second. Second strikeout for Jones.
Well, this running game has been good for the Astros tonight. Looked like there was a shot there for Jimenez.
Don Cooper, the pitching coach, in his 11th year with the White Sox. Out for a visit with Nate Jones. Trevor Crow has grounded out twice to shortstop. There is Josh Fields on the left, and he's been joined by Paul Clemens on the right. Mets and Braves are in a rain delay in Atlanta. They still have not started that game. Kansas City beat Cleveland 2-1. A win for Aaron Crow. Now Trevor Crow steps up. Reds 4, Pirates 1. Cincinnati is 43-28. Mike Leake is 7-3 with that victory. That's ball 1. Aroldis Chapman got his 18th save. Joey Votto with his 12th. Jay Bruce, number 13. Bruce has been on a home run jag. And when he gets it going with a home run bat, he can have a pretty good week or 10 days. He's one of those streaky power hitters. Fouled away. The Blue Jays were in flight tonight. Ash, they won 2-0 over the Rockies.
They were in flight, huh?
Yeah. Brett Cecil got the win. And Casey Jansen got his 15th save.
Starting to come on. That American League East is going to look like every club over 500 here pretty soon if they don't watch out.
Yeah. Max Scherzer had a big game with 10 strikeouts in 6 innings. And Detroit beat Baltimore 5-1. Crow takes it. It's a strike, and it's 1-2. Jim Leland turned away from Jose Valverde last night as the closer and went with Joaquin Benoit. And when asked about it after the game, he said, well, I just thought that Benoit has the better stuff for that type situation. And so decided to go with him.
Yeah, it's tough the way the game is now, and agents and people kind of dominating managers' decisions.
That's a strikeout. Crow sprinting to first, but Jimenez throws him out to end the Astros 6th inning with no runs a hit and a man stranded. After 6, 4-2, Pale Hose.
Astros into the 7th. And we want to remind you to tune into Chevy Hometown Kids every Saturday morning at 9:30 on CSN. Chevy Hometown Kids, where it's not about the score, but the experience. Guys.
Thank you, Julia. A little dancing there as we come out for inning number 7. And it's Josh Fields getting ready for his 6th Major League appearance. He had not pitched in 10 days since a game in Kansas City when he gave up 1 run in 1 inning. And in 2 1/3 Major League innings, he's allowed 5 hits, walking 1, fanning 1, had time on the disabled list with a forearm strain. In fact, 2 months on the disabled list, including some injury rehab time in the minor leagues, Ash.
I'm going to guess he doesn't like facing left-hand hitters in a brief amount of time. 667 the cool average there.
He'll have a chance to whittle that down starting right now with Hector Jimenez. Switch hitting catcher comes up to lead off the 7th inning. He is 0 for 2. He struck out looking and then popped a short, and he was given the green light on a 3-0 pitch with 2 outs and a runner on in the 5th inning, trailing 2-0. They strike 1. Hector, a real show of faith in his number 9 hitter by Robin Ventura, unless he missed a sign or something.
Yeah, I don't know that kind of show of faith. I just don't know that I can buy into that.
Fields gets a foul ball back and it snowballs 2 strikes. Fields a Rule 5 pick from the Boston Red Sox by the Astros last December, and he showed well in spring training, was put on the big league club for his first Major League opening day assignment. Josh is 27 years old. He's from Hull, Georgia, and the University of Georgia, where he set an SEC record for saves. Last year pitched most of the season at AA Portland, some at AAA Pawtucket. And he drops a curve on him and is caught looking, 1 out.
Over the top curveball, leaves it up. A lot of umpires might call it high, but nice to see the strike called. Watch from the side where this ball actually is, just above the belt buckle. So that legitimately is a strike. And from that side, I think you get a look a lot of times at pitches that you might want to reconsider if you quit on them early.
True. Jimenez is out number 1. Now De Aza. De Aza started the go-ahead 4-run rally with a single to right field in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 3. Upstairs, ball 1. In that Tigers win over the Orioles 5-1, Max Scherzer went to 10-0, the 10 strikeout game. And the save tonight went to Smiley, his 2nd of the year. Cabrera hit his 19th, and for Baltimore, Chris Davis belted number 24 for the American League leader. Popped up, and this brings Matt Dominguez over. Also Jason Castro, and Dominguez has it. 2 outs.
That is confidence in the glove. Dominguez overruns this ball and then, just as cool as could be, reaches out to his side and makes the play. Jason Castro was giving chase as well, but once that third baseman comes on, get out if you're the catcher. Look at the feet slide out, but tell you what, he is really comfy with that piece of leather.
He's as cool as a cucumber, Ash.
The other side of the pillow, huh?
He's as cool as the bottom of the river.
Ooh, nice.
Alexei Ramirez hits a foul fly ball right field side. A long run for Carlos Pena, but he won't get to it.
And in most cases, I guess only your feet would know that, huh?
You ever do any scuba diving at all?
I never have. You?
Nope.
Thought maybe from that kayak you had taken that chance.
I've taken a few dives from the kayak, but they were not planned. Sort of
kind of like one of the fans here this evening, souvenir hunting.
Kind of like emergency procedures. You know, expert kayakers can actually roll those things and roll them all the way. Off the foot of Fields, it goes over to Dominguez, who will not have a throw on an infield hit by Ramirez.
How about the less than expert?
They stay down, stay in the inverted position until help arrives, hopefully within at least a couple of minutes.
A little kick save. It's not going to help out in this case.
He did direct it over to third, but he slowed it down so much that it was an infield hit. And now it'll be Rios. Rios has had 3 good at bats tonight. A double, a single, and a line out to center field for Alex Rios. Astros have won 8 of their last 10 from the White Sox down through the years. Ramirez has 14 steals. He goes back as ball 1 is delivered. Castro came up out of that crouch. Matt Thornton is at work in the bullpen.
Ooh.
That's up, and it's 2-0.
That is your basic shoulder snapper for a catcher.
Yeah, it took off like a frisbee.
Jason does a nice job, but glove will just pull your shoulder. Looks like he came out of that unscathed.
The Astros have been using the relief corps quite a bit lately. It's 3 balls, no strikes. Winning these last 3 games. They've used Jose Cisnero in 2 of those. Travis Blackley has been in a couple of them. Hector Ambriz has appeared twice in the last 3. Jose Veras has appeared in all 3. So Josh Fields, who hasn't seen much action at all lately, is in. 3-1 to Rios.
Yeah, I think one big question about Josh Fields in the minor leagues over 5 seasons, 186 plus innings, 100 walks. So he's just had a tough time becoming friendly with that strike zone.
3-2. No runs in the first 4, and they had the explosive 4-run 6th inning. They got 5 of those 7 hits in that 1 inning. Now 3-2, 2 outs. Ramirez will take off from first. And he goes as it's fouled away. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays have called up the top prospect in baseball. Mr. Will Myers, right? The outfielder. They obtained the deal from Kansas City.
A lot of excitement in Tampa Bay. Don't know if it'll show at the turnstiles, but a lot of talk about Myers coming up.
Runner going, and that's in the air for a while. Out to left field. J.D. Martinez works his way in. And in the 7th inning, it's no runs a hit and a man stranded. It's 4-2 White Sox.
4-2 White Sox over the Astros. MLB.TV celebrating 11 years with new low yearly prices. Watch every out-of-market game live on over 350 supported mobile and connected devices in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. Visit MLB.TV. Baseball everywhere, guys.
We're going to have to watch that show after the ball game tonight, Julia, to find out what we've been missing. Sounds like we missed quite a bit during this game tonight. Didn't know about the Twitter outburst, so we'll have to be viewers a little bit later on. Meanwhile, 7th inning stretch here. And the Astros come up after this stretch with the top of the lineup against Nate Jones. Barnes, Altuve, and Castro here in the Astros 7th inning. That's upstairs, ball 1. Barnes has been a factor tonight with 2 singles in 3 at-bats and also a couple of steals. He has scored a run. Jones has worked an inning in the 3rd. That fastball wide of the plate at 98 makes it 2-0. White Sox have 2 starting pitchers on the disabled list right now, Gavin Floyd and Jake Peavy. It's a 2-ball, 1-strike count. Their closer Addison Reed has 48 career saves. 19 of those this year. That's laced into right field. What a night for Barnes. A sharply hit single for Brandon.
A night like tonight with the bat can go a long way for Brandon, but yeah, just maintaining what he's able to do. Of course, he's hitting over 280, and if he can do that through the course of a season, play the kind of defense he does in center field, steal some bags as he's done tonight, he's a very valuable player.
Second 3-hit game of the year for Brandon Barnes.
By the way, Johnny Manziel apparently said he can't wait to leave town, talking about College Station.
Oh, that's what that Twitter. Yeah. Okay. Jesse Crane's warming up in the bullpen for the Pale Hose. Jose Altuve is 1 for 3. He singled and scored in the 1st inning. He struck out twice since then. Jason Castro's on deck with Crane warming up. Earlier, Thornton was throwing. Paul Clemens working for Houston. Slider in the dirt, ball 1. And Hector Jimenez just picked that one out on the backhand side. Pretty nifty play, but maybe not textbook for Alan Ashby.
Get a breaking ball, and I've talked with other catchers about this. In fact, I was talking with Alex Trevino about it today. You call breaking ball and you don't get to your knees when it's in the dirt. You've got a mental lapse going on.
1-1.
When it's fastball, it's all reaction, and you're not going to get to your knees. But on breaking balls, it's part of what you're trained to do. Yeah, Alex, very free about making those same comments.
Long-time Major League catcher. And long-time Spanish language broadcaster. Tap foul, 1-2.
Johnny Manziel apparently pulled that tweet back pretty quickly, but then followed it with, don't forget how much that I love A&M with all my heart, but please, please walk a day in my shoes. I guess it's been a little bit tough on him with scrutiny and things going on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Boy, that's been really unusual for a Heisman Trophy winner to go through that.
What a phenomenal year he put up last year.
Jordan Schaefer, the last Astro to steal 3 in a game. That's rocked into left center field. Barnes heads for third base. De Aza throws it in towards second, and it's 1st and 3rd for the Astros on Altuve's second hit of the night. Ventura's on his way.
Nice response here by the offense. An inning later, but response nonetheless, as you try to make something happen.
That's it for Nate Jones. Lefty Matt Thornton has been warming up. The White Sox lead the Astros 4-2. Back in a moment. Stirred up trouble with runners at first and third, nobody out on singles by Barnes and Altuve. It's a lefty on lefty matchup coming next as Matt Thornton is called out of the bullpen by Robin Ventura to face Jason Castro.
And he's been really tough on left-hand hitters. 167 that batting average against. Although the right-handers have had a field day against this hard-throwing lefty.
The way Castro has hit lefty pitching in this series, it's going to be a very interesting conversation that we might have after this matchup here. Castro with a pair of doubles, a pair of runs batted in, and 3 at-bats tonight. And Castro indeed hit a home run on Thornton.
Well, the way Castro has swung against the lefties, it had to make Robin Ventura think a second time about making this change. But those numbers for Thornton say you got to go with him against the lefty.
Yesterday, Thornton facing Castro in the 7th inning with a man on base, gave up a 2-run homer off the base of the left field foul pole to Jason. Double play depth up the middle for Beckham and Ramirez. J.D. Martinez on deck. That's strike one, and with right-hander Jesse Crane warming up in the bullpen, this would appear to be a one-batter appearance by Thornton. Thornton is tied for third in holds in the American League with 14. 14.3% of the runners he has inherited have scored. Castro taps it foul. Now no balls, 2 strikes. Thornton, a 36-year-old veteran, a first-round pick of Seattle in '98, was traded to the White Sox in '06. Last year he pitched 74 times. And 3 times in his career he has 70 appearances or more. 3 other times he has 60 or more. Castro looks at it. It's a ball for a 1-2 count. White Sox are trying to snap a 4-game losing streak before moving on to Minnesota. Castro strikes out. That's out number 1. Strikeout number 9 for the White Sox pitchers.
Just a tough slider down and away. Good location. Thornton, primarily a fastball pitcher, but has that pitch that he can turn to against the lefties.
Now pitcher number 4 will be getting the baseball for Chicago. J.D. Martinez due up next. It is 4-2 White Sox. Back in a moment. Sixth inning. Now they try to snap their 4-game losing streak by using reliever number 3 of the night. He is pretty well familiar to some Houston fans because he pitched at the University of Houston in San Jacinto Junior College. Calls Houston his home. Jesse Crane with a 1-1 record, a microscopic ERA of 0.60. Ash, he has had things going his way this year.
Look at that opponent's batting average against 198. The right-handers have hit all of 183s, top on both righties and lefties. And really a resurgent part of his career, because he had some struggling years with Minnesota earlier in the career.
He was drafted by the Twins in the second round in 2002. The White Sox picked him up as a free agent after the 2010 season. In 2011, he went 8-3 for the Sox with a 2.62 ERA in 67 games. Pitched 51 times last year. Now 26 straight scoreless appearances, 33 strikeouts in those 26 games, covering 25 1/3 innings. But the concern is more now on the part of the White Sox for those 2 runners he's inheriting as he faces J.D. Martinez. He's 0 for 2 with a walk.
Crane with a 4.70 ERA in 56 games back in 2009, but since then has gotten better and better.
Quick throw to first. Altuve diving back. That was headed to first base in a hurry from Jesse Crane.
It's a good toss too, putting it right in a friendly spot for Adam Dunn to handle.
Altuve measuring his lead. And that's strike 1 to J.D. Martinez.
You know, we have seen some pitches not called strikes just off the outside corner. Bud Norris certainly had one that he no doubt wanted. This pitch doesn't appear to be anywhere close.
It was a bit surprising, wasn't it? Chris Carter on deck. Another throw over to first. Crane's scoreless streak is the longest by a White Sox reliever since J.J. Putz had 27 scoreless innings in a row in 2010. He's on pace for a record 42 holds. In tight. 1-1.
94 miles an hour is good, but that one sounded better than 94.
Crane has 17 holds this year. That's only 2 away from the high by a White Sox pitcher in the first half. Scott Linebrink had 19 in 08 in the first half. Altuve takes off and the pitch is fouled. Now it's 1-2. Altuve into second base.
Jose got no help at all from the infielders right there. All-out dive into the bag. Now, that speaks to how much effort is going in right there. Jose Altuve full out as he dives into the bag.
Well, he may have the chance to return the favor when one of those guys gets on base.
Little infielders, I don't know, wouldn't call it a responsibility, but they generally like to help others.
He's going again, and it's fouled again.
After the diving play, getting the top of the uniform dirty, he decides, well, this time I'm going to slide. Got some white spots here I need to work on.
Well, a couple more dashes, and he won't have any more to work on. Pretty well covered. Wesley Wright and Paul Clemens are at work in the Astros bullpen in this 4-2 game in the 7th inning. High for ball 2. With Carter on deck, it's 2-2. Nate Jones went an inning and a third. Matt Thornton got an out on Castro's strikeout. Now it's Crane. 13,870 the paid attendance tonight. A quick throw to first. Drives Altuve back. Carl Schneider and his clubhouse crew are going to be at work long into the night to get that dirt out of Altuve's uniform. Way upstairs. Ball 3.
Pretty much pick out a fastball time right here. I don't think Crane can afford to go any deeper. Fastball's a good one, but dial up and get yourself one.
Barnes at third, Altuve at first with one out. Reed Ryan behind home plate. Altuve, big jump, will come back again.
How about that? A little slider bent right through the heart of the plate, but a nice job by J.D. Martinez to get a piece. Good swing, by the way.
Altuve is certainly getting in his sprint work, and if he could get to third on a hit by Martinez, he would represent the tying run there. He goes again, and it's a swing and a miss. Fake throw to second. That's out number 2. Strikeout of Martinez by Crane.
There's that costly second out. Now you've got to come up with a base hit. Otherwise, fastball wild pitch scenario.
The Astros are 4 for 25 with runners in scoring position in this 4-game series, but they've won the first 3. Now can they get the big hit to tie it from Chris Carter, or maybe even give them the lead if he goes deep? Carter has walked twice and he has struck out looking. Altuve just picked up his 13th steal of the year. That's 4 stolen bases for the Astros tonight. Carlos Pena's on deck. Strike 1 to Carter.
Well, that was pretty foul.
Great downward break to it. Crane was born in Toronto. Fastball makes it 0-2.
This is 3rd straight year striking out more hitters than innings pitched. Now, that speaks a lot to the type of stuff he has.
Nice fresh arm. His first appearance in this 4-game series. In the dirt on that one. 1-2. Blocked by Jimenez. Cardinals 2, Cubs nothing. Bottom of the 7th in St. Louis. Rangers 8, Athletics 6. Top of the 9th in Arlington, Texas. Carter's down on strikes, and Crane does a job. Thornton struck out Castro. Crane struck out Martinez and Carter. Stranding runners at first and third. And through 7, it's 4-2 Sox.
League showdown between the Brewers and Astros. Coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. on Comcast Sportsnet, your home of your home teams, guys.
Thanks, Julia. That's game 1 of that 3-game series tomorrow night, 6:30 for Astros pregame live with Julia. She'll have something interesting for us. Who knows? You'll come up with something.
Who knows?
You always do. Might be on interleague play returning.
There you go. Gave me my first idea.
Adam Dunn leads it off in the 8th inning. Dunn was a big part of the 4-run 6th inning with his single to center field. It was one of 5 White Sox hits in the frame. He's 1 for 3. Inside and all the way back for ball 1 from Josh Fields. Fields came in the 7th inning, and Ramirez got the infield hit off his foot. That was the only base runner allowed by Josh. This is one thing that Bo Porter has done quite often this year. Use a relief pitcher for multiple innings. And that's cut down on the number of appearances by the guys in the bullpen. And of course, in order to be able to do that, the reliever usually has time off between appearances, so he can go back out there and give Bo maybe a second or even a third inning in that appearance. Count went to 2-0. Ronnie Cedeno has shifted around to the first base side of second. Now Matt Dominguez moves way over to his left. We've seen quite a bit of that from the Astros, moving the infielders during counts. As the hitter gets into a more favorable count, they play him more and more to pull the ball. And now it's 3-0 on Dunn. Dunn takes a strike, and it's a 3-1 count.
Now that one wouldn't have surprised me had Adam Dunn had the green light and took a big hack at it a little earlier in the ball game. Quite surprising.
When it happened with Hector Jimenez, the number 9 batter, swinging at a 3-0, down by 2. 3-2.
At the time, Bud Norris was sailing.
Boy, how things turned in that 6th inning. A couple of ground balls sneaking through for hits. Bouncer, Pena with a good play. Underhanding to Fields. Altuve was behind him, but Carlos was able to get to that ball and turn it into out number 1. Altuve was way behind him in right field.
Yeah, I think Jose had maybe an easier play than Carlos wound up with on this Ball hit sharply by Adam Dunn. That's a fine play at first. You always hope on that effort by the first baseman is that he doesn't get leather on it, kick the ball somewhere around where the second baseman normally would be. But again, just handled beautifully by Pena.
Paul Konerko looks at ball one. Paul had an RBI single to center in the 6th inning. That was the seeing eye hit. It went between Bud Norris's legs and off Ronnie Cedeno's glove. 1-1. Shoot. Jason Castro back, watching it drift out of play for him and in play for the fans. 1-2. Patrick Corbin has a no-hitter through 5 for the Arizona Diamondbacks against the Miami Marlins. It's 2-0 Arizona after 5 in the desert. Chin-Min Wong came out of mothballs to win that game for Toronto over Texas yesterday. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, we have one 10-0 pitcher. Max Scherzer won earlier tonight. Corbin has been lighting it up for Arizona.
Once upon a time, Chin-Min Wong, one of the outstanding sinker ball pitchers, hard mid-90s for the New York Yankees. Seems to be kind of a reclamation project now.
He was hurt right here running the bases. Badly sprained ankle, scoring from second on a hit to the outfield.
Interleague play, and it's been blamed a lot of times with pitchers having injuries come up.
Well, Corbin would be 10-0 if he wins tonight. So Scherzer and Corbin both share those outstanding 10-0 starts if Patrick can pull it off at home against Miami. Altuve's positioned right there to field this grounder and throw out Konerko. 2 outs. Astros will have Pena, Cedeno, and Dominguez due up in the bottom of the 8th inning. Connor Gillespie is 2 for 3 as he comes around for the 4th time. Brent Morel is in the minor leagues. He played a lot of third base for the White Sox last year. Gillespie taking his turn and came into the game with a .249 batting average. Up a few points tonight. His OPS is .697. That's not terrible. And from what we hear, is a pretty good glove man. That's ball 1. So what do you think of the NBA championship series? What's your pick?
Boy, it's been back and forth. I don't know. With Miami needing to win 2 games, with those games being back in Miami, I don't know that I would feel comfy going against them. But I'd sure like to see San Antonio win it.
That's true. The Miami Heat's at its best when behind, right? Must-win situation. Altuve over to Pena. 1-2-3 8th inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th with the score 4-2 Chicago.
Stay tuned for Astros postgame live, presented by MD Anderson, making cancer history.
What are you promising for the postgame show tonight, eh?
Well, I'm promising probably a very late night. This has not been a snappy affair. That's all I've got to say. But hopefully a little comeback effort involved in there as well.
Carlos Pena would like to begin obliging you as he comes up in the bottom of the 8th inning. He's 0 for 3. 2 grounders and a fly ball to left for Carlos, facing Jesse Crain, who's been the hottest hand in the White Sox bullpen in terms of the scoreless inning streak for Jesse. Now at 26 innings. He was impressive in striking out Martinez and Carter with runners at first and third in the 7th inning, and put together with a strikeout by Thornton of Castro. That was quite a lot of firepower Robin Ventura pulled out of his bullpen there to combat the Astros scoring threat. And it's ball 1. Major League bullpens these days, though, are doing that more often than not. But it's just difficult to put up crooked numbers in the late innings. High to right center field. Diaza over. The right fielder wants it. Rios for out number 1.
Everybody's heard of the just missed it, but that was underlined, bold, and in italics, just missed it. Carlos had the big swing and got just a fraction under. Look at this hack. He gets a fastball to handle with that uppercut just a hair under. Carlos Pena, that classic back foot hitter.
Yeah. Ronnie Cedeno singled and stole a base in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 3. Giancarlo Stanton hit his 6th homer off Patrick Corbin, and Miami has tied that game 2-2 now in the top of the 6th inning. Ian Kennedy will be serving his 10-game suspension. He dropped his appeal. Zach Greinke was lit up in the game for the Dodgers last night. 1 ball, 1 strike. And it's 1-2 for Jesse Crain. Wade LeBlanc is at work for the Astros. In the dirt, Cedeno is able to hold the bat back and work the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes. White Sox probably want this one pretty badly after dropping 14 of 18. They are 9.5 games off the lead in last place in the AL Central.
You always take that attitude as a club that's struggling. 1 win could be what turns us around.
Struck him out.
Again, and we've seen it numerous times tonight, high fastballs for the strikeouts. And there have been a bunch of strikeouts for Houston hitters.
12. Matt Dominguez is 0 for 3. Trevor Crow's on deck. Strike 1 to Matt.
7 strikeouts of Astros hitters since the bullpen came on.
It's 1-1. Angels lead the Mariners 4-2 in the top of the 5th at Anaheim. Josh Hamilton has chimed in with his 10th home run of the year. Nick Franklin, number 3 for Seattle. Two balls and a strike. How about the drama with Mariano Rivera striking out Albert Pujols to end the game with the bases loaded?
A couple of future Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
It's always fun to see those matchups. Maybe not from Albert's point of view there.
Oh, boy. 3 balls and a strike.
What are the Angels going to do if Albert Pujols continues to have numbers slide? He's got, I believe, 8 more years after this one on his 10-year contract in Anaheim. And then there's Josh Hamilton.
Well, they're going to change their name and move to Newport Beach.
Newport, you know, that's about the only name they haven't used to this point.
3-2. They'll keep writing checks.
They are writing some rather large checks, and they're not paying off.
They'll get a rally monkey. Foul back.
Done.
They'll trade away pitching
to get more old veteran
non-productive hitters.
There you go. Boy, that's just not worked out in the city of Angels, even though they don't play there. They only claim they play there.
Where do they play anyway?
I don't know.
Still 3-2 as Matt Dominguez tries to crack Jesse Crane here. Get something going with 2 outs for the Astros in the 8th.
They play in the OC.
Speaking of the OC, how about the O.co Coliseum in Oakland with the raw sewage problem?
Yeah, I saw that. 2 teams had to use the same clubhouse tonight. That's kind of nice. Imagine if the Dodgers and let's see,
Padres?
Dodgers and Padres, that would have been
one
work. Combination. Yeah.
Popped up. Gordon Beckham comes in. It's a 1-2-3-8 for Jesse Crane. We move to the 9th inning, and the Chicago White Sox have the lead 4-2. To you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Pitcher number 3 of the night for Bo Porter. Lefty Wade LeBlanc comes out of the Houston bullpen. Josh Fields in 2 innings allowed 1 hit, no runs, with no walks and 1 strikeout.
Just the 2nd outing now for Wade LeBlanc as a member of the Astros. Really hard to read much into what he's done, but on the season, including pitching with the Miami Marlins, 32 punchouts in 49 and 2/3 innings. See the hits column, 64. That is rather problematic.
Diane Viciedo is the leadoff man here in the 9th inning for the White Sox. Gordon Beckham, Hector Jimenez due to follow him. With the White Sox up 4-2, they've out-hit the Astros 9-8. Chicago's made the only error. The Astros have stranded 9. White Sox have left 5. Wade LeBlanc, 28 years old, from Lake Charles, Louisiana, is not too far from home. He went to the University of Alabama. Viciedo puts it in the air, and the left fielder, J.D. Martinez, comes over. One pitch, one out for LeBlanc. Good outing for Fields tonight to keep it close. The Astros in the bottom of the ninth have Crow, Barnes, and Altuve due to bat. LeBlanc was a second-round draft choice of the Padres in '06. They traded him to Florida after the 2011 season. And Florida became Miami. He was a waiver claim this June by the Astros. In fact, we're still in June, aren't we? And there's a strike.
Mid-June.
Already?
Still waiting for that first day of summer, Brownie.
When's that coming along?
I don't know, 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there.
Okay. Seems like that's already happened in this part of the world, but maybe not. 0-2.
Well, the temperatures have been cranking up.
It's nice to have some air in a ballpark, isn't it?
Yes, I guess it is.
Let's turn back the clock to the Colt 45's days.
Ooh.
Or shall we not?
Boy, those had to be a little bit tough.
Can you imagine playing in the wool uniforms back in those days when you were a kid? Did you guys play in wool uniforms in Little League?
Oh, when I was a kid, I could have done it. Actually, when I first signed with the Indians, we had those wool sleeveless uniform tops.
Oh, yeah.
Those were kind of special.
Those were not bad, actually.
Yeah, they were. As long as you had the correct fitting red sleeve to go under there. Of course, in my case, it didn't fit real well, and I had sleeves hanging all down and bare shoulders showing. 1969, Sarasota, Florida.
Wow. It was probably smoking hot down there, then.
It was a little bit toasty.
Did you guys have extra workouts before the games?
You know what we did? We had a former Marine drill instructor as our manager down there, and when we lost, we had to run just exceeding amounts. Buddy Bell was a part of that club, and it was not much fun.
So you were not motivated to lose at all?
We were motivated to not lose. That is absolutely certain. In fact, the final day of the season, we were a half game out of first place, and the skip was not too pleased about that. Took off in the bus, and we all hitchhiked back from Bradenton.
What?
Yeah.
He left the team behind?
Bus was gone. Some of us had catcher's gear to lug back, and you didn't dare not bring the stuff with you. With our former Marine drill instructor. Yeah, those were different days. I doubt that Mr. Thurman is going to run into that kind of a scenario here coming up soon.
No, he won't. To third for Matt Dominguez. Good throw on the run for out number 2. So he left you, and it was how long a trip to get back?
I don't know. Bradenton, Sarasota, it was... I don't know. I guess it's still the same today as it was in those days, but I don't know what the amount is. Probably a nice... If you got somebody good to grab you on the hitchhiking scene there, everything was good.
So you had 25 guys hitchhiking from Bradenton to Sarasota?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was kind of fun. Getting in the back of trucks and groups of us.
Wow. Hector Jimenez, the batter. Occasionally you might get lucky and have a hay wagon come along, so 8 or 9 of you could crawl aboard that thing, but that probably wasn't the case.
As Oscar Gamble used to say, that's when baseball was baseball.
Wow. Good thing you didn't tell that story when Mr. Andrew Thurman was with us.
Get ready for the professional scene, young man.
He was talking about the bus rides. He was well aware of that scene.
We used to line up in the clubhouse, what there was of a clubhouse, on payday, which was the day when you'd get handed your measly little amount, and we had to walk up single file, heel to toe, to the manager while he sat at a desk and informed us to what level of lowness we have recently attained.
Oh, Dominguez throws out Jimenez. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning, and it's 4-2 White Sox. fans having a good time at Minute Maid Park. He just signed his first professional contract, and the Astros' second-round pick from Cal Irvine just about to head out on his pro career. Meanwhile, he's about to watch the bottom of the ninth inning, and Robin Ventura is trying to win a ball game by making some defensive changes, moving Alejandro De Aza from center field to left field, bringing in Jordan Danks to play center field, and also going with the closer Addison Reed. Reed will come in after a wonderful setup job by Jesse Crane, who retired all 5 men he faced, 3 via strikeouts. Reed is 2-0. His ERA 3.48. He's 19 for 21 in saves.
Opposition hitters hitting just .207, and the left-handers against this right-hander a .185. So he has been a tough arm out of the back end of that bullpen for Chicago.
Reed comes in with this 2-run lead. At age 24, listed at 6'4", third-round pick of the White Sox in 2010 from San Diego State. He's a native of Montclair, California. Last year he had 29 saves in 33 attempts. Ash, it's 13 miles from Bradenton to Sarasota, and that's a one-half marathon that you guys had to hitchhike your way back from.
I'm just thinking of Andrew Thurman. With that head of hair that he's got, I don't think Joe Mauer and C.J. Wilson have a chance of hanging on to those hair product commercials they've got going on.
Trevor Crowe leads it off. He's 0 for 3 in the game. Strike one.
Andrew Thurman is going to be swooping in very soon. Look at that head of hair.
Yeah, nice looking young man. We enjoyed meeting him tonight. He would love to be sent off to Tri-City with a rousing Astros come from behind win here. Reed is 4th in saves in the American League. Gets a swing and a miss there from Trevor Crowe. Takes the count to 0-2. But disaster struck him as he got his second blown save Tuesday. He allowed a game-tying solo homer in the 9th from Jose Bautista, and Raleigh Caps are out there. He had converted his previous 9 save chances before blowing one Tuesday. Valdez still 0-2. Trevor Crowe. Left-handed hitters are hitting a measly 185 against Addison Reed. Adam Dunn not too far off the line at first base. And missing there. Reed has a 1-2 pitch to make next. White Sox had 9 hits to the Astros 8. Chicago's made the only error tonight. In the air to center, and Danks is measuring it. That's 1 out. And then Barnes will follow. Barnes has hits his last 3 times up and has stolen 2 bases tonight. Addison Reed got a rare win in a strange way in that 16-inning game at Seattle June 5th. He gave up 5 runs in 3 innings, including a grand slam to Kyle Seager, but was the winner. Ball 1 to Barnes.
Astros' top 3 hits or spots in the order tonight with 7 of the hits. 7 of 8, so the only other one picked up by Ronnie Cedeno.
Strike makes it 1-1. Mark Parent was telling me the White Sox in that 16-inning game, it was 0-0 after 13. He said they had 2 players who had 3 hits after the 9th inning. Reed became the first Sox reliever to earn a win after allowing 5 runs or more since Floyd Weaver 1970. 1-2. Astros trying to rescue this one and make it their 5th consecutive win. They have won 3 one-run games in a row in this series. Had a 2-0 lead going to the 6th. The Sox got 4. In the air, and a lazy foul ball goes back into the seats. Jose Altuve is on deck. Well, if the Astros can get Jason Castro to the plate, it could be very interesting. He has 2 doubles, 2 runs batted in tonight. They got him to the plate in the 7th inning with runners at 1st and 3rd, but Matt Thornton got a big strikeout. In the dirt for a ball to make it 2-2. White Sox 4, Astros 2 in the 9th. Addison Reed trying to close it out. Bouncer, broken bat. It goes to Alexi Ramirez. He shoots it to Adam Dunn. 2 outs. This relief job has been superb tonight by Nate Jones, Matt Thornton, Jesse Crane, and now Addison Reed, 1 out away from nailing it down. Jones would be the winning pitcher. The starter Quintana went 4 2/3, giving up 2 runs. Jose Altuve has 2 of the Astros' 8 hits. He's 2 for 4. Has a stolen base, has scored a run tonight. Jason Castro's on deck.
So how does Altuve approach this? Is this take a strike time, which I imagine is the case, or is it jump on something and see if you can hang it out a 3rd hit on the night?
Well, fair question. He takes a strike.
Looked like he was taken all the way.
His mission obviously is to prolong this game, get Castro to the plate. Castro with 2 homers in the last 2 games and a pair of run-producing doubles tonight. Would be representing the potential tying run if Altuve got on. He looks at a ball, and it's 1-1. The Astros' maiden voyage here in the American League. They're getting a look at a lot of pitchers for the first time, and that includes this right-hander, Addison Reed. Foul away, 1-2. So it's hard to feel that as a hitter there's that much of a feeling of confidence facing a closer for the first time, especially one who throws hard and has had good success this year.
I think you rely on teammates who may have seen a guy. You rely on scouting reports that tell you as much as possible, but usually having your own eyes on a guy is really the bottom line for needs.
In the shallow right field, and coming in, Rios. And the White Sox have won it, coming up with 4 in the 6th inning, and then getting the airtight relief work from Jones, Thornton, Crane, and Reed. Robin Ventura's club snapping a 4-game losing streak, going on to Minnesota by rescuing the final game of this 4-game series. White Sox 4, Astros 2 tonight.